Wendy Bell Radio is live.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. What's going on?
Wow, you said good afternoon.
Who out there just had a system update on their phone, tablet, or computer and wants to choke a biatch? Because I do. Everything changed. Everything changed. And then this morning I'm putting together the rundown and I got that wheel of death and I'm like, son of a mother. And you know what happened? I lost everything. I want to kill somebody.
I hate when they do updates
Just stop
and they
it.
change the shortcuts.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that? That's so annoying. Why do you do that? Right? I said to Brock this morning, I'm like, it's like going to the grocery store and realizing that they changed everything around. And you're like, well, wait a minute. Why did you do that? I knew where everything was. Is it to make you hunt and peck and find new stuff? I don't know.
So.
I think what it is that, yes. Yeah. And so, of course, the updates are to install the software bugs that need to then deploy after 2 years to force you to get another phone, right?
Or
is that just conspiratorial stuff on my end?
No,
it's the so weird.
So yesterday you're telling me about your update and you're like,
I'm going to kill
text me, you're like, I can't do this. I'm like, well, let me get into, because we have the same brand of computer. Let me look at it. And mine goes, update. And I'm like, it took 15 minutes. And then what do I get this morning? An update to fix the update.
I didn't.
Like, what?
I didn't get that. I didn't get that.
These are to fix the bugs that were in the last one. Why didn't you test it first?
I will tell you this, though. There is something positive that's going on. I was very excited by this.
Uh-oh.
So no, our friends over at Blood Flow 7 from Juvenon.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So they reach out and they're like, first of all, we love your people. And I'm like, I love my people too. They're wonderful people.
I got people. They
love our products, they say to us. And I'm like, I love your products. Brock loves your products. I'm using Blood Flow 7 from Juvenon, bloodflow7.com/Wendy. I use it every single day. Nitric oxide makes more blood flow, opens up the arteries, vessels in your body, blood flows. You're like, how does that feel? Oh boy, it feels. You feel great and you sleep like a boulder. He's taking the one for men, which is called Alpha Gold Male. And then, by the way, and it's different for men because it deals with testosterone, like things with cortisol and estrogen creeping into the man's body and like the
Can I just say too, I'm on my last bottle.
Right? Do you ever want to not take it again? It changes fundamentally your day. Well, now they've given me something else, and this is for working out, which I think is amazing. It's called Peak NAD Plus. This is muscle recovery and longevity. So if you're over 40 and recovery keeps getting harder for you, whatever it is, whatever physical activity it is that you're doing, it's what's happening inside of your cells, all right? As we get older, this thing called NAD Plus, the levels of that enzyme naturally decline. It's critical for cellular energy and muscle recovery. And when it drops, muscles repair more slowly, strength gains stall, and muscle loss becomes a real issue. So this is designed to support your body's NAD plus production. And you could read about it, NAD plus, very important to you. This is going to change the way you recover from exercise, from activity, and from what have you. So it is a natural 1-2 punch, right? Same with what Brock is taking, the Alpha Gold Male.
Well, I don't have the 2.
Well,
I didn't get the 2 punch.
Would you please just, can I at least introduce the product to our people? I haven't started it yet. Today is the day I started taking it. So one of these with 2 of these for me. And I'm going to really be interested in it tomorrow when I go to the gym and then how I feel afterwards. So this is about giving your muscles the cellular tools they need to recover and adapt, especially as you age. So if you put these things together, you cover both sides, circulation to the muscles and the cellular recovery afterwards. This is what it's all about. And by the way, I should mention, in my big workup with Dr. Dubiak, all this stuff, it showed that I had issues with NAD plus. I was like, what? It was crazy. Bingo. This is not breaking the bank stuff. It's not. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy for all of this. This is very interesting. I like giving you something to add onto what you're doing. And isn't it lovely that you're not supporting big pharma? This is it's not some drug. You're not going to be like, I have to have it. It's all these ancillary things that you can be doing so you don't need drugs, right? So get the blood flow, get the NAD plus, recover cellular level. I'm very excited. They are completely doubling down on you guys. And I'm delighted because these products, off the charts. Anywho.
You know, it's a great product when you get it for free, but you still subscribe.
Oh my God. We still subscribe. Right? And she sent a bunch. I have to give you more of the blood flow, but I'll get you more of the Alpha Gold. Listen to me. I'm like your pusher. I'm like, how much you got?
Wow.
How good you want to feel, baby.
Wow.
4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at you.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we are converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Well, hello, America, and greetings to all of you on a beautiful Monday all across the fruited plain. I hope you're having a great beginning of another work week. This is the Wendy Bell radio program, and we specialize in something that apparently is a very hot and raw, rare commodity, and it is called the truth. And we will tell you the truth. If I get something wrong, I will be the first to tell you about it and correct it. Doesn't happen often because we do our research. We put it all together for you. 3 hours of common sense, conservative values that just feels right because we are right. WendyBellRadio.com is how you follow along on the live video stream and I do believe we have a very big announcement later this week. Thank you very much for being a part of our family. Thank you for being here and welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. You know, adults behaving like children is a bad look, no matter the venue. No matter if it's at a sports venue, if you're at a football game or a base, adults acting like horses' asses is really a bad look. I'm going to tell you, adults storming into Sunday services at a church is anything off the table, ladies and gentlemen. If you're willing to cross that boundary, if you're willing to go across that bridge of insanity, and you're going to kick in the doors, I don't really know if they did or not, but for my optics, it feels right. If you're going to kick in the doors of a church and you are going to interrupt a sermon, you're going to interrupt the parishioners who, for whatever reason, which is their right, are there. Because you're pissed that ICE agents in your hometown are enforcing the law. Ladies and gentlemen, we've crossed into another dimension. I don't know if I should be surprised by this because this is what happened in Minneapolis over the weekend. And we're going to get you more of the granular details later on in the broadcast because former CNN anchor Don Lemon is factoring prominently in here. And there are so many things to look at. while we examine the insanity of the progressive left. They're not protesting rapists, murderers, kidnappers, pedophiles, drug dealers, human traffickers, the scum of the earth. They don't mind that those people who've flown into the United States under Joe Biden's auto pen, invaded our laws, sucked off of all of our welfare, all of our generosity and taxpayer money. They don't care that these people are in our streets, driving people insane, hurting people, killing people, raping people. They think the best idea is to go and disturb a church service because they understand that one of the parishioners there is a high up local regional commander for immigrations and customs enforcement. And that makes it right. We have now gone into a new level. But I guess we are not surprised. These are the same people who would protest military funerals. You know, when our soldiers came back in caskets from Afghanistan and Iraq, these are the kinds of people that would go and protest their military funerals, right? These are the people who wanted to go vandalize pregnancy crisis centers and clinics, right? These are the people who will hunt you down on your job. They'll go after your kids. They will what? Go into the parking lot during COVID when you're supposedly not supposed to be able to worship and jot down license plate numbers to deliver to the state to bust you for gathering. These are the same people who protested graduations, interrupted commencement speeches, and canceled some graduations completely off the chart. These are the same people who block traffic, who stand on bridges and snarl everything. These are the people who prevent you from making your flight because their stupid mission, which is to be a malevolent, mean-spirited, dangerous schmuck who believes in whatever sanctimonious do-goodery that they're into right now, right? This is a new level. We're going to march into church services and interrupt you and demand that you, wearing your jewelry and your nice clothes and drinking your Starbucks coffee in the congregation, you need to be followed out to your minivan and heckled by protesters as you flee your religious service. Make it make sense. I can't make it make sense. However, there is a very interesting side story that is happening on the sidelines here, right? So President Trump says so far, and he has made multiple hints to it, that he doesn't believe things have gotten too gnarly yet to invoke the Insurrection Act and basically deploy the military to regain control, law and order, because clearly your local and state law enforcement and governments refuse to do so, specifically in Minneapolis, right? Do you know which group he's mobilized? It would be the Army's 11th Airborne Division out of Alaska, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think that operation in Alaska trains for? Oh, you better believe extremely cold conditions. You better believe the ultimate survivalists are a part of this 11th Airborne Division. And you know what they'd be really good at doing if they do get deployed to Minneapolis? They'd be really good at squelching whatever protest is going on there, restoring law and order, and then catching a quick puddle jumper over to Greenland, where they could settle up and get ready for what's coming there. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here. The 11th Airborne. This isn't just some rando group of soldiers. This is a lethal and elite machine. They go by, this is phenomenal. They are specifically activated to address Arctic threats from China and Russia. And Donald Trump has handpicked them to be on standby, 1,500 of these people, to get ready to deploy to Minneapolis if the people there in charge don't get it settled. They're not going to get it settled. And so we're going to have much more to talk about. Did you hear what happened to Jake Lang? Okay. If you followed this program with regularity over the last several years, when Jake Lang and the other January 6ers were in the gulag, we made contact with Jake multiple times. He was able to contact us from prison and tell us exactly what was going on. I don't subscribe to everything that Jacob Lang does. I don't believe in all of his missions, and I think he's radical to a fault. However, doesn't matter what side of the spectrum you're on. If you have a First Amendment right to protest, does Jake Lang have the First Amendment right to not be assaulted as he launches a counter protest against the anti-ICE goons in Minneapolis? He was beaten. He was beaten pretty savagely. He went there looking for a fight. I will tell you that. I would guarantee that is why he went to, yes, stage a counter protest, to stand up for ICE agents. But he was there for more than that. And he got what he was looking for. And it got dangerous. There are reports that Jake Lang was stabbed. He was dragged out of a building. He was dragged. He was beaten. Blood coming from his nose. Blood coming from his ears. He had to flee an angry mob while himself exercising his First Amendment right to protest, which, by the way, the people who invaded that Baptist church service do not have that right to invade public or private property and to invade a church service. Check the Supreme Court. They will lose on that. But tell me how you can be dragged, beaten, stomped, bloodied, chased, and then you have to literally run for your life and jump into a woman's car, literally, to not get murdered. That's the story, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to give you more detail after this first commercial break that we're coming up to. Because the older millennial is even forced to come out. And he says, look, I don't agree with everything this guy does. He's a January 6th protester who was caught on video wearing a riot shield, wearing a bulletproof vest, carrying a bat on January 6th. He was not a peaceful protester. He did not deserve to have his due process completely trampled. And he most assuredly did not deserve in Minneapolis over the weekend to be beaten to a pulp merely for standing there holding an American flag and counter-protesting the insanity. We have now reached a fever pitch, ladies and gentlemen. It is okay in these United States, if you're a Democrat, to protest. Your rights, they believe, are completely written in stone. But if you happen to be on the other side of the aisle, if you happen to prefer the American flag over what other multicultural, multicolored nonsense the progressives are waving these days, then prepare to be beaten, prepare to be hunted, and prepare, yes, even to be killed. That is not America. That is called anarchy. The 11th Airborne Division, I hope, is got the engines running, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, let's talk about what happened to Jake. Let's talk about how you got to actually come out and say, what the heck, ladies and gentlemen. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. The stuff I'm learning about the 11th Mountain is very interesting. This was not just some rando group of people who were just picked. Just cause. Spin the wheel, whoever it is. All right, tell them to activate. They were mobilized by President Trump. They're being mobilized by President Trump specifically, and we'll get into that. What if your resolution this year was to do something significant for you? Weight loss is usually the number one thing people say, but what if it's about reclaiming your quality of rest? What if it's acknowledging that there's no way you get enough restful sleep, and it's probably about time that you do something about it? If that is one of your resolutions, that's a great one, because after 40, I think it gets harder and harder to get really good quality restful sleep. Did you know that 90% of CBD customers say they sleep better when they take products that have CBD from hemp in it? This is not what makes you high. This is the medicinal value of the plant, which is remarkable. Excellent for sleep, excellent for stress and anxiety release, and excellent for soothing after exercise, soothing muscles. specifically for sleep. CB Distillery has options for more than just sleep, obviously solutions for other things that I just mentioned. But everything from CB Distillery is premium quality, third-party tested. It's free of artificial dyes. It has no fillers in it. So when you chew one of their gummies and you swallow it down a half hour before you're ready for bed, you're just going to start to feel really nice and comfortable inside. And you're going to be ready to wash your face, brush your teeth, crawl in bed, and let it go. CBDistillery.com. Use my name, Wendy. You're going to get 25% off anything. That's a big deal. CBDistillery.com, promo code Wendy. There's your QR. Open up your camera, hover on top of it, and then you'll see the yellow box. Click on that, and it'll bring it up for you. CBDistillery.com, promo code Wendy. Great, 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 great company. Love them.
I'd love to see them open up water cannons. Not even force, just put it up in the air. Let them get wet and see how long they stay out there and protest. At night,
we're really getting into that. It's now just a stupid, deranged degree. If you follow me on Twitter at all at Wendy Bell PG, is it Wendy Bell PGH?
yes.
That's my Twitter handle, Wendy Bell PGH. I just retweeted something, and it's one of the lunatic protesters recording himself harassing one of these parishioners. It's unhinged, scary.
He goes from state to state doing it.
Scary. Yeah, these are professional agitators.
And then you gotta love him. He's like, "Don't touch me! Don't touch me!"
Right?
You come up to me, I'm laying you out.
Yeah.
I'm just at the point where I'm not a fighter, but I'll kick you in the.
All right, so
jimmies.
we'll read to you from Fox what happened here. Jake Lang saved by a
Here we go.
woman. Here we go. Long ago lost its luster to me. Democrats believe they could do whatever they want. If you're a Republican and you do the same thing, you're in the wrong. Always. You don't have the same rights. You don't have the same protections. Mob rule wins. And if you're on the right, standing up for what is right, they're gunning for you. Fox9.com. Jake Lang saved by a woman who drove him away from counter-protesters in Minneapolis. So this is a woman who shared her story after she and her friend saved just a guy literally running at them who jumped into their car to escape from a crowd of counter-protesters in Minneapolis. No, to escape from a crowd of protesters. A woman shared her story after Jake Lang was the guy who did this, what they're saying. Day Gotchi was a passenger in her friend's car when they were driving to a bar in downtown Minneapolis on Saturday. They were at a red light when they saw a man who was bleeding and being chased by a large crowd of people, so we stopped, they said. And all of a sudden, this bloody guy that I'd never seen before just walks up to our car and is like begging us to let him in, like he's in need of help. The woman said. And after letting him in, she said a large crowd surrounded their vehicle and continued attacking Jake Lang. They were trying to pull him out, the woman said, of the car. They damaged the car's taillight. This is called lunacy. Lunacy. They surrounded us. I remember looking back at the guy and I was like, what in the F did you do? Oh my gosh. They drove 2 blocks to get him away, made Jake get out. And at some point, I guess he was able to go and get medical attention or what have you. In what world does this happen? It does not happen in the United States of America in the year 2026, unless you're a lunatic and you realize either you don't realize that you've been ginned up to fight a war for people who don't care about you, right? Or this is just your jam. Protest, resist, anything Trump does, I'm all about it, even if it means I'm going to break the law, trample your rights, and break your face. That's what it's worth to the left. I want you to hear the older millennial, though. This is one of our favorite accounts on X. And he comes out and he's like, look, I want to make a distinction. I do not agree with Jake Lang, some of the things that he says and does, a former J6er pardoned by the president, who clearly had other intentions that day. If you look at some of the things that he was wearing and carrying at the Capitol. However, ... This is unacceptable. Listen.
All right, so I've kind of held off on making a video about the whole situation surrounding Jake Lang. If you're unaware of who that is, he's an independent journalist who was just savagely beaten by anti-ICE protesters in Minneapolis. Now, I can't show you the video here because TikTok will immediately restrict the video, but safe to say he was beaten pretty badly. You know, he's bleeding from his head. The video, you can see him getting hit. He's definitely concussed. Like, it's bad. But here's why I've hesitated making a video about this. Because Jake originally gained notoriety for being one of the rioters on January 6th. And yes, I say rioter because while I think a lot of the people on January 6th were peaceful, Jake definitely was not. He showed up with a riot shield, a gas mask, and a baseball bat. But yeah, he was a rioter. Now, I don't support him doing that. But then also when he went to prison, he was held for years without even going to trial. And I made some content talking about how I disagreed with that. Doesn't matter what his crime is. He's a U.S. citizen. He deserved his day in court. Now, also, Jake, in recent times, has become a bit of an extremist. I mean, he's full-on supporting Nazis and throwing up the Sieg Heil salute, which is something I'm not going to support. But I want to make it clear that I don't support what's happening to him now, right? Like, I get he's an agitator. He gets people worked up. But that doesn't mean that mobs get to drag him through the street and beat the out of him. And I think that regardless of what side of the political spectrum you're on, regardless of whether you support the type of person he is or you oppose the awful he does, we should all be able to agree that dragging people through the street and beat out of them, that's not acceptable. Like, that's not okay. And that the police need to do something about it. So yeah, I've had a lot of people ask me why I haven't made a video about it. And that's why. I just wanted to make this to be clear about where I stand.
All of this is exposure. All of this is crazy. Like, who is smart enough to realize that our government has been corrupt since way before President Trump ever got elected, since he was even a name, well before that? Like, who is smart enough to understand that everybody who suddenly hated him when he ran for president used to be friends with him? Like, who can see that the only reason they've been fighting to get rid of him so hard is because he's the one exposing all of their crimes? Who gets it that they hate him so much because he's betrayed them by exposing their crimes against humanity? Who can grasp that the corrupt politicians never planned on fixing anything that they say they're going to fix? They could care less about the people. Like, have you ever seen the left fight this hard for anything? Of course, all it takes is a little common sense and a little bit of logic. This DC mob, both Dem and GOP, they hated Trump because they knew he couldn't be bought. They knew he would learn what they had been up to for the last half of a century. Doge, Medicare, Social Security fraud, offshore accounts, filled funds with redirected from foreign aid. Trump has exposed it all. The NGOs, the paybacks, the circle of rewarding oneself. Truthfully, if you're at all a revolutionary at this point, meaning you're an America lover, right? You're completely with Trump and his team as they pull all of this apart. Those screaming mobs in Minnesota, ladies and gentlemen, are supporting the thieves and the status quo fraudsters. And we see all of it when we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program. Let's talk about it. Criminal indictments being prepared for Tim Walz and Jacob Fry next. Okay, I'm so glad Lena's back. This is something I was just thinking about. And they were talking about this. So how many weird diets have you been on that you've heard about? You've heard about the what? There's the Atkins diet where it's all meat and cheese and things like that. Horrible cholesterol, right? But complete protein, 100%, like that sort of stuff, and fats. And then there's the Scarsdale diet. There's the cabbage soup diet. There's all these crazy diets. Do you know that the average person, when it comes to weight cycling, losing weight, and then putting it back on, plus a few, and then losing it again and putting it. It's hundreds and hundreds of pounds that the average person weight cycles throughout the course of their lifetime. And you can imagine it's not fantastic for your body. So if you've got 10 pounds or more to lose, I want to introduce you to Lean from Brickhouse Nutrition. Lean it's created by doctors, but it's not a pharma product, so you don't need a prescription. It's a dietary supplement that helps you do something pretty interesting, and it helps convert fat into energy. That's the big deal. Burning fat helps keep weight off. So it maintains a healthy blood sugar, right? Helps control your cravings, helps control your appetite. And then that third thing that Lean does, this is where the weight loss really comes in, and it's significant over time, converting fat into energy. That's the secret sauce. That's Try Lean. TakeLean.com. Use my name. You're going to get 20% off your order. TakeLean.com. Again, they don't say this is for people who need to lose 5 or 6 pounds. If you have a significant chunk of weight you want to lose, use TakeLean.com. Use my promo code Wendy, 20% off, and have like a helper in your arsenal of tricks. This is a good one. This is a really good one. And I love Brickhouse Nutrition. You guys can bank on them. Wow. And they have a study here that shows you weight cycling can increase the risk of heart attack and stroke. Right? And if we don't understand what these GLP-1s are doing to us, not yet, right? This is one of those ways to get slow, steady weight loss. TakeLean.com. Promo code Wendy. So yeah, you're not allowed to protest in a church. It's not protected speech. It's a public. Is church a public space where anyone can protest? No. Under U.S. law, private. Churches are private property, even when they're open to the public for worship. Property owners, including churches, retain the right to set rules for conduct on their premises and to remove individuals who violate those rules. You're on the losing side of this. Your lunacy is not more important than basically private space. And it's crazy. Like, where is that good to you? Where are you walking in wearing your Canada Goose jackets, by the way? So these people are really hurting.
Well, it makes you think, what are you trying to get across? Mm-hmm. What do you think you're getting? Because now, I said this to you earlier, now the story isn't what you're protesting. The story is you went into a church, Don Lemon recorded it, and listen, he can sit there and put out all the videos he wants now saying, it's the First Amendment.
It's a bad look, dude. It's a bad look. You made a bad decision.
They could legitimately arrest him. You're not doing journalism. You're not doing journalism.
See, these people, though, think that they're insulated from that. The same way a woman believes that she can get into a man's face and spit on him and not get punched.
Did you see the one in Portland?
Because there's some code of conduct, and your ovaries and breasts apparently are a shield against you getting your ass whooped for making a bad decision. I'm a woman. No, I didn't. Was something like that happen?
Yeah. So a lady in Portland was with the cops, going after cops. So this other lady started recording, right? And she's like, just, ma'am, what are you doing? You can hear her say, what are you doing? And she spit on the cop, and the cop threw her to the ground. Well, that's assault. That's assault. It's period. And all of a sudden, you hear the lady on the ground going, I'm disabled. I'm disabled.
I'm autistic.
You hear the lady go, you're getting what you deserve. You weren't disabled enough to spit on him.
I have high cholesterol.
Yeah. He took her down, and
right on.
Which is, to me, is the ultimate
reflexive
disrespect.
It should be like reflexive.
Yeah, it was. It took him about 3 seconds to.
Let's stop pushing the parameters of law enforcement, because it's incumbent upon them to always act above board. But the left, the protesters, can do whatever they want. They can fire things out. They can throw rocks at them. And you're not allowed to take a woman and punch her in the face or punch her in the chest or what have you. I don't care.
You spit in my face, all bets are off. I was raised, you don't hate, all bets are off.
I'm sorry.
You know, like
I can get Renee Good with thought she was invisible, or she was protected. Invincible is what I mean. Because she's a woman. Oh, it's a guy. He's not going to hurt me. Well, you're dead. You're dead now.
Here comes the patriarchy.
Right.
You spit my face?
You get what you get. It's sort of like dinner time at my house. You get what you get, and you don't get upset. And if you do, there's some Captain Crunch with Crunch Berries back there.
Ooh.
Right now, I'm hooked up on Cracklin' Oat Bran. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. All things crazy going on. I mean, literally, if you're just a normal person, and I'm going to go with like 98% of us are, you're looking around, you go, what in the Sam Hill happened to people? This is the last stand, you guys. You realize that. There's a reason why there's dark money funding these people protesting. There's a reason they get compensated. These aren't people who are just taking time off of their jobs, I don't think, and going to be malignant. These are people who are well compensated, which is why you notice if they're in your neighborhood, they depart their locales of ire at a very specific time. 5 o'clock, it's like the buzzer goes off, the work whistle blows, boop, and the protesters in my neighborhood pack up and leave. See ya, Irv. Take care, Sheila. All right, Bob. I'll catch you tomorrow. We'll be same place? Okay, I'll see you then. Really? They're protecting what they spend so much time and money to import. The numbers game. The humanity that you and I pay for. All of the freebies that you and I pay for, right? So that they'll come in, vote Democrat, and you and I will pay forever. Enough. So criminal indictments apparently are being prepared for Tim Walz and Minneapolis's mayor, Jacob Fry. Do we believe this? Well, this is what it says. This is from newsfromthestates.com. Report says Walz and Fry received subpoenas in criminal matter related to ICE. Give you a couple sentences of that. I'll believe it when I see it. Let's see if something's going on. John Solomon just posted that he believes all of this stuff is going on. There's going to be a giant realm of criminal indictments related to the deep state, that this is what the DOJ, this is what Pam Bondi's been working on. I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it. I have zero faith right now. Sorry. The U.S. Justice Department has issued subpoenas to Governor Tim Walz and Mayor Jacob Fry as part of a criminal investigation into whether they've impeded federal immigration enforcement. The Washington Post is reporting. The investigation intensifies an already combustible conflict between the feds and Minnesota. And let's talk about this. What's really at issue here? The exposure, thanks to Nick Shirley, of the Somalian community, by and large, ripping off the U.S. taxpayer to the tune of what could be $20 billion or more, right? That is the original nexus of the problem. Nick Shirley had the audacity, according to the left, to be some punk 23-year-old MAGA YouTuber who decided to go knock on doors, ask questions, make phone calls, do digging, hook up with a guy who's been watching the grift for years, who finally tapped out and had enough. He exposed all of this. This fighting now, street level stuff is all a desperate smokescreen, right? To take the eye off of the ball of the rampant fraud across Minnesota. That's it. Walz's office said he hasn't received any notice of investigation yet. He replied in a statement to the news 2 days ago. It was Alyssa Slotkin. Last week, it was Jerome Powell. Before that, Mark Kelly, he said, referring to the U.S. senators who made a video telling U.S. service members that they can and must refuse illegal orders, et cetera, weaponizing the justice system and threatening political opponents is a dangerous authoritarian tactic, Walz said. Well, you and I all know what's going on. That's how he's going to portray it. We know that's garbage. Jonathan Karl, ABC News, asks Mayor Fry over the weekend, look, you basically said, get the F out of our city to federal law. Get the F out. Do you want to dial that back a little bit? Because this is a great opportunity for you to do that as the DOJ seems to be honing in on you, Mayor Fry. Listen.
After the shooting of Renee Good, You went on national television and you said to ICE, get the F out of Minneapolis. Do you regret that language? I mean, that doesn't sound like turning the temperature down.
I don't regret it at all. In the moments before I went out there to do that press conference, I learned that Kristi Noem had already jumped to a conclusion as to the ICE agent's conduct, saying that it was purely self-defense. Minutes or hours later, you had her saying that Renee Good was a domestic terrorist. If I seemed like I was angry and frustrated, I was. And part of my responsibility as mayor is to channel what the people in our city are feeling.
No, it's not actually. Actually, it's not even remotely close to that. Your job is to uphold the law. Your job is to facilitate a functioning government that protects citizens, right? That prevents everybody from getting ripped off, prevents people from getting injured in the street, and prevents malignant protesters who've completely been twisted by fake news like Jonathan Karl, right? Prevents them from snarling everyday average life, which in Minneapolis is basically ground to a halt in some areas. Mayor Fry, you're completely in the wrong here. And Renee Good was as well. When she hit the gas, drive, baby, drive. She knew damn well what she was doing. She thought her ovaries and breasts were going to protect her. I'm a woman. You can't shoot me. You can't hurt me. I'm a woman. I'm protected. Well, you know what? I'm sorry. Putting somebody's life in danger when it's a federal officer, a federal agent. Yeah. How does that work? Donald Trump over the weekend, hours ago, I should say, posted this on Truth Social. There is $19 billion in Minnesota Somalia fraud. Fake congresswoman, he puts congresswoman in quotes, Ilhan Omar, a constant complainer who hates the USA, knows everything there is to know. She should be in jail or even a worse punishment, sent back to Somalia, considered one of the absolutely worst countries in the world. She should help to make Somalia great again. She's not escaping her role in all of this, ladies and gentlemen. Here's a guy on X, Patriot Dad. You're going to love it. He says, look, this is now officially an insurrection. Tim Walz just moved his chess pieces and a bunch of counter-protesters were just attacked. He's referring to Jake Lang. Listen.
Just announced by the Department of Public Safety of Minnesota, Governor Walz has called up the National Guard. They've been mobilized and are staging to support local law enforcement and emergency management agencies. And in order to clarify this statement down in the comments, they went on further to say that they are not yet deployed, but are ready to help support public safety, including protection of life, preservation of property, and supporting the rights of all who assemble peacefully. That post came out almost exactly the same time that these photos of Black Bloc socialist organizations started showing up in Minneapolis, sitting on the back of cars, carrying rifles. So who exactly are the National Guard being called up to protect? Because just earlier today, a handful of flag-waving Americans, patriots, showed up to that protest to try to take a counter position. And they were almost beat to death, having their heads cracked open. And local law enforcement did absolutely nothing to stop that from happening.
So now this headline, AlJazeera.com, which did cash in quite mightily on the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation's money to all the journalists out there. You know, if you follow the money, it's interesting to see who's carrying the party line. Al Jazeera would be part of it. U.S. Pentagon orders troops to prepare for potential Minnesota deployment. Arctic specialist troops will join 3,000 federal immigration agents patrolling Minneapolis and St. Paul amid protests. So what are you going to do now? Are your angry, malevolent protesters going to go toe-to-toe with a member of the United States military? Those optics are horrendous. The Pentagon in the U.S. has ordered some 1,500 active duty soldiers in Alaska to be ready to be deployed to Minnesota, where large protests have been taking place against federal immigration raids. 2 unnamed officials told Reuters on Sunday that 2 infantry battalions from the Army's 11th Airborne Division, based in Alaska, which specializes in operating in Arctic conditions, have been given prepared to deploy orders to the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul, where protests against raids by immigrations and customs enforcement officers are continuing despite freezing conditions. Well, we're going to bring in the experts. We'll see what happens when they roll in. That is on the back burner. Now, Minneapolis police, are they working on some kind of a stand down order? Do not comply, do not work with, do not enforce the law. Because Border Commander Greg Bovino says cops are actually coming up from Minneapolis, from the Minneapolis PD, to his Border Patrol agents saying, we back you. We support you. Thank you. Listen.
Rank and file of many of the area police departments, including Minneapolis Police Department, many of their rank and file police officers are coming up to our agents on the ground saying, thank you for what you're doing. We support you 100%. That's in direct opposition to, say, a Mayor Fry calling for cops to fight federal agents. So we've got the support of the rank and file and the American public. This mission is going to continue.
This mission is going to continue because we see this is the tip of the fraud iceberg. They're doing whatever they can to protect it, keep you busy, keep you blinded by the smoke, just like on January 6th. Don't pay attention to a stolen election. Don't pay attention to your elected representatives not doing what they're supposed to do and pushing ahead instead and certifying a fraudulent election. Here's Jake Tapper with Attorney General Ellison. He's over. This is great. He says, look, Trump says Minneapolis is a bunch of paid protesters. Is that true? Is this actually grassroots things going on? Or are you bringing in paid agitators from all around the country? What, says Keith Ellison, protesters being paid? I know nothing of that.
I want to read something President Trump said today on Truth Social. Quote, in Minnesota, the troublemakers, agitators, and insurrectionists are in many cases highly paid professionals. Is there any truth to that? How do you respond to that?
I would say that is an untrue statement. I have never met such a person as paid to be it's just a lie. I think you could put it in the category of Haitians in Ohio eating pets or something like that. It's just made up nonsense that we hear from Trump all the time. I will answer the question this way, Jake. We have no information that is true. We have information that in fact is false. And if he is going to make such a claim, maybe he should bring some evidence of it. We've seen no such evidence of it. People are outside because they're upset. They're outside because their neighbors are being hauled off and being arrested. People are upset for the reasons that people tend to be upset, like the death of Renee Good and the shooting that happened in North Minneapolis and people being yanked out of their cars. That's why people are protesting. That's why they're upset.
Right. Is that what you see? Is that what you believe, Mr. Ellison? Because I think that you should be very frightened about your role in all of this fraud and grift on the back burner. It's very much on the front burner. And you can try to bloviate, you can try to distract, you can try to send us elsewhere. We've got eyes, sir. When we come back, you know who also does? America's warfighting veterans. Did you see that veterans are apparently getting very interested in joining the front lines again? Joining ICE? Oh boy. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
So if you have proof that they aren't paid, or you're not seeing proof, but you have proof that they aren't being paid,
what is it?
What is it? Like,
Which one
you
is
can't
it?
prove a negative. Like,
right.
Are you going up to people? Are you being paid? Are you being paid? Because
how many of them have already said that? I am getting paid. Laura Ingraham had somebody who said that.
Yeah.
Some chick with a megaphone was, kind of going with her on the street. And she's like, don't you have a job? She's like, I'm getting paid.
Yeah. I hope they W-9 them.
Right? How else do you claim your money? I mean, it's so wild how this goes. Oh, it's going to be small dollar donations from a bunch of people you've never heard of before. Smurfs. Got it. Let me tell you guys about the healthy fat. Okay, so I strongly believe that everything that you need literally is all of our sponsors on this show. And that's why I'm super selective about the people who we partner with. I believe that you can lose weight. I believe you can maintain your blood sugar, get it down to a healthy level. I believe you can control your blood pressure. I think that there's an infinite number of ways that we can take advantage of supplementation that's on the market from some very innovative companies that we do business with. And you can eliminate the need to be on drugs. Basically, to be on statins, to be on a bunch of various medications. I'm going to say one of the smartest things I ever started doing was drinking the healthy fat from Dr. Gundry, his MCT Wellness. So in addition to what I take for my blood flow and for my recovery now, taking that NAD+, this is what I drink. I drink it at least once a day, oftentimes twice. I drink it twice, not because I'm needing double the effects to not eat, because this is a diet supplement, which is going to kill your appetite. You're going to love it. It's delicious. And I feel that, especially when I'm working out, this is the best thing for me to take in addition to the other supplements to lose weight. It just does. It helps me 100%, and you're going to love it. It comes in 3 different flavors, MCT Wellness. This is how Dr. Gundry lost his 70 pounds. And he's like, look, I did this. I'm going to put it in this very easy powder for you to put into your water bottle. Shake it up, add some ice cubes, enjoy it, and you're welcome. You won't be hungry for about 5 hours. It's wonderful. It's quenchy, it's sweet, it's sour, it's tangy, it's all of these things, and it's delicious. Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. He takes you on a ride with a video, and the video itself is like, I don't know what he spent on that video, but it had to be a ton. Because he walks you through all these things that you think you're doing to lose weight. Oh, if I eat only celery, I'll lose weight. And he's like, this isn't working for you. Why? Why does this work? This is what you need to know. MCT Wellness. Go to thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. And you'll get a nice 20% off. I think it's 20, maybe even 30%. It might be 30%. Great to try. Of course, I dumped some on me. You're going to love it. And you're going to be like, how you doing? So we've got a couple people who've already lost 50 pounds on their way to 100 or more pounds just by drinking that. Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy.
I also think it's funny that they sit there and say we were not paid protesters, but all the signs are the same.
Mm-hmm. Right. How does that work?
Organic signs aren't.
Super fascinating, isn't it? Hey, we almost have 2,000 in the house already with Rumbles. Thank you for that. Thank you. 5,700 watching live. Great to be with you. Good afternoon. And then X is kind of on fire today. Almost 800 over on X. Usually X is a little bit slower to wake up, but I'm delighted you're here. Thank you. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. So we got Trump sitting on the deploy button. He's got these troops ready in Alaska, the 11th Airborne, the Army's 11th Airborne Division. These guys train in extremely cold weather. They're a very interesting unit if you want to do any research. And I did that. I was like, who are these guys? And kind of what's their history? And the 11th Airborne started back in World War II. They also were deployed during Vietnam. I guess they were paratroopers and whatnot. But this division right now, training in Alaska, is very interesting. I want to read you this blurb that I got. And where did I get this from? This is from Army University Press. These guys are called the Arctic Angels, the 11th Airborne Division, and they call them the 11th Airborne Division Reborn. So I want to read you this. Arctic capability. I think it's very interesting. Of course, we've got Minnesota right now. If it's anything like Pennsylvania, we're in this deep freeze. It's definitely cold. You need the right kind of people there to defend. right? But wouldn't it be intriguing if that 11th Airborne also then bounced over to a second stop, maybe took a detour after, if they do come into Minneapolis, then fly on to Greenland to make sure things are smooth there? I mean, right? In response to the growing importance of the Arctic to national security, Trump isn't just winging it, right? He's got all the details, which is why Greenland is so big. The Army published its Arctic strategy called Regaining Arctic Dominance in 2021. And while there are other service-specific Arctic strategies in the Department of Defense, only the Army has the implementation plan manifested in a new division. For the Army, Arctic capability is more than just words on paper. The Arctic is arguably one of the harshest environments on the planet. Recognizing the inherent necessity of extremely cold weather training in Alaska, the Army has chosen its forces there to implement the objectives and goals laid out within this strategic operational framework. In addition to its responsibilities in the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, the 11th Airborne Division has been given the task to become the most highly trained, disciplined, and fit Arctic warfighting unit in the world to not just survive, but to thrive in extremely cold weather and mountainous terrain. Appropriately, the division's home is Alaska, the only state in the Arctic and the only state with land less than 3 miles from Russian soil. Trump is paying attention to all of this, you guys. Veterans are paying attention to the lawlessness and people getting hurt because of these protests in places like Minneapolis. This gentleman is a veteran, and he has a video. It's much longer than the little excerpt we selected. But he's like, look, if you don't think that America's veterans are paying attention, you better wake up, because they are. Listen.
Liberals, I need you to listen up. Going forward in 2026, it's not a good idea to continue this aggression during your protests. I'm sitting here putting in an ICE application, right? And when I'm talking about it here on TikTok, I've had hundreds of my brothers and sisters in arms, my fellow veterans, say, no, I'm joining up too. I already signed up. I'll leave for training, whatever. A lot of veterans are joining ICE right now. Projections are saying like somewhere north of 100,000. And I'm willing to bet the vast majority of them are going to be veterans. Combat veterans. We're talking a class of American citizens, blue-collar type, that are trained, that willingly signed up to shoot at and get shot back at. Signs and screaming in cars. Oh, no, don't do it. You need to understand something, liberal. We're talking about people who have been blown up and stood back up to return fire. We're talking about people who have murdered other human beings in a wartime environment and then went back to the fob to have a next to their buddies, tell jokes about the event, and eat chili mac. A lot of us veterans, we take our oath seriously to defend our country against enemies both foreign and domestic. I don't think it's going to be an intelligent idea going forward to present yourselves as enemies domestic.
100%. And he's like, I'm not so sure this is your play. So we have now Tim Walz reportedly mobilizing the National Guard. We have President Trump telling the Arctic Angels in Alaska, the 11th Airborne, get ready because you might be needed, right? And now independent journalist Liz Collin in Minneapolis, who's been busting all this stuff wide open with Nick Shirley and others. She drops a bombshell email that might be very important to the president. And this email shows how Minneapolis city workers have been instructed to resist ICE. Okay, we're walking into super dangerous territory. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program. On tap next. They're not just mobilizing in Minneapolis. A bunch of socialists are training in New York City and in Pittsburgh, too. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I'm just going to go with say what?
Yeah, there's a thing tomorrow in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And it's right where the cigar shop is that I go to.
So there's somebody who, I guess, infiltrated a local training, perhaps like the one in Wilkinsburg that we talked about. And they're sharing all of their training materials with me. And their videos and such.
You didn't send them?
It happened in the last hour.
Oh.
So no, I didn't. Wild stuff. Like, it's not okay. It's not okay to be crazy. It's not.
Well, it makes you. I want to know where Mark Kelly stands when you have Tim Walz telling the National Guard to go against ICE. Is that an unlawful order? Because it sure as hell sounds like one.
Do you remember when Jacob Fry too was saying, or was it Tim Walz was saying that they expect local cops to go up against the federal officers? And remember seeing the police chief make that look on his face? He did this. He went, I saw that in real time and was like, well, apparently you might want to clear that with your police chief.
You might want to find out who's on your side first before you start giving.
I'm not so sure that's the fight I'm going to have.
No.
And it's so funny because the people who are the ones who deploy or who call up are always the ones with personal protection, right? They have their own security detail. Freaking Fauci cost us millions of dollars because of his bodyguards and his personal security detail. Why does that little elf deserve freaking security? He unleashed a freaking bioweapon on the world and then lied about it and then encouraged you to get vaccinated against it, knowing that that was deadly.
Multiple times.
Like, I mean, make it make sense. Make it make sense. I don't know. But this Liz Collin thing, holy Moses. I'll tell you what, they're mucking with the wrong people. So let's talk about somebody. Who do we want to talk about? Let's talk about the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh, pittsburghdiscinstitute.com. One of the things I can tell you is that there is hope out there if you have a bulging or herniated disc in your back or your neck. And that can be extraordinarily painful. So painful. And it completely debilitates you and changes your way of life. It completely sucks the joy out of life, but it doesn't have to. And this is what's beautiful about Dr. Rafferty. You don't have to have surgery oftentimes to fix the problem. You just have to have the right therapy to allow the discs to grow back. It's wild. Our bodies are so fantastic. This is what Dr. Rafferty does. He doesn't cut into you. He's not giving you like taking needles and taking blood. He's giving you a therapy that allows your discs to regenerate. It's holy cow. It's life-changing. And it's at your fingertips. 412-906-9600, pittsburghdiscinstitute.com. The procedure itself, if you want to Google it or you want to search it or you want to ask them about it, it's called intra-disc neutrosis. So they're going to go in there and they're going to make it spongy and fluffy again, and you're not going to feel the pain. 98% successful non-surgery, like blah, 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 non-surgical. Huge. pittsburghdiscinstitute.com. I have an itchy nose right there. Sorry.
Don Leming.
Oh, Jesus.
Was distributing coffee and donuts to anti-ICE protesters. So whenever you hear Don Leming say, I don't have a side, I'm a journalist.
Mm-hmm. Dude.
You're the farthest thing from it.
See, when people call me a journalist, I'm like, I'm not a journalist. It's not my job. I'm biased. I'm biased as hell. 100% biased. I love America first.
And this is what...
Your pet project, next.
This is what pisses me off about Don Lemon claiming journalism. Anyone who inserts themselves in the story and then has commentary after they interview someone about their answers.
That's not a journalist.
Not really a journalist.
That's an activist.
He's an activist.
There's a
bad
difference.
one at that.
There's a difference.
Remember when he was interviewed with Elon Musk and he's like, well, shouldn't you silence this because it's just the right thing to do? Well, Don,
See, it's free speech when it's speech that he agrees with.
Right.
It's not protected speech if it's something he disagrees with.
I would love to see them, because he broke what they call the FACE Act. I don't know what it stands for, but you're not allowed to go into churches.
But they want God and Mark Houck on.
Yeah. And I want them to arrest Don Lemon. Make him, cost him money.
Yeah. The people who interrupted this church service too, there's video all over the place. It's not hard to find. It's so off color. It's so off-putting. It's so cringe.
And they're so quick to tell you, don't touch me.
Yeah. Don't touch me. You're not allowed to touch me. Well, you're allowed to apparently interrupt my worship. So get the F out. How about that? I'll leave when I'm good and ready to leave. Let's follow you. What are you doing? What kind of car do you drive? Oh, must be nice. Look at you with your nice clothes. Meanwhile, these poor people, they're being ripped away from their loved ones. They're being plucked off of
in Gaza. They can't even stick on topic.
Yeah.
Because I know which one you're talking about. Guy goes, when people were dying in Gaza Strip, and I'm like, what the hell does that have to do with what you're talking? Pick something and stick with it, like.
Literally, I have a headache. It's right here. It's like right over my eye. And it's got Don Lemon's face on it. It's just, it hurts because it's just dumb. It's just dumb. We're better than this. Behavior is better than this. We expect more than this.
Wait till you guys hear what's coming up.
This is how you get, unacceptable low IQ leaders, right? What are you saying is good? Oh, the singing. Jesus. You just can't make it up. I feel for people. It's like when you don't realize that, yes, in fact, those jeans do make your ass look big.
Yeah. Don't blame the jeans.
Just going to say.
Sit up in a salad.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell. Inspiring solutions to save America, one show at a time. Are you ready to get on board?
They believe that they can destroy this bond that exists between you and Trump if they somehow make Trump look bad, make Trump look like a reprobate, embarrass you about Trump. They can't do it because you came before Trump. Desperately want Trump gone, and I know that they desperately want it codified, that Trump cannot run again, because make no mistake, they remain scared to death of you, and they remain scared to death of Trump. From Make America Great Again.
From sea to shining sea, 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. The Wendy Bell Radio Program.
Welcome back, America. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell Radio Program is live. And a reminder, if you'd like to watch instead of just listen, and I'm not so sure why you would, but maybe you do. You want to watch. WendyBellRadio.com, the whole show. Commercial breaks, cross-chalk, Brock and me, blah, 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 all of it, the whole thing. Right there, WendyBellRadio.com. Follow the live video stream. So Liz Collin, she's an independent journalist with Alpha News. She's dropped some pretty interesting information and then some follow-up information that I just got updated on. So we're going to get over this for you, okay? Can you imagine your local city leaders, mayor, what have you, putting out a directive citywide to all of the employees of your city, your county, what have you, saying this is the policy of the city. This is what we expect you to do to resist ICE agents. What would you do? What would you do? Well, a lot of these folks who got this directive in Minneapolis got in touch with Liz Collin. She's the one they trust, ladies and gentlemen, and rightly so. On Friday, Before their 3-day holiday weekend kicked off, City of Minneapolis employees got their marching orders on how to continue to undermine immigration and customs enforcement actions. I kind of think this is how you call it an insurrection then, right? Bombshell email shows how Minneapolis city employees are instructed to work against ICE. Interesting. So an all-employee email was sent to all exchange users on Friday before the Martin Luther King holiday weekend, directing employees on how they could continue to stymie federal immigration agents working in the city. The tipster who sent the email to Alpha News reporter Liz Collins said they're working with protesters within the city to help them track ICE operations, and this seems like they're complicit in helping impede ICE agents. Yeah, in fact, it does sound just like that. And then the tipster wondered, would they like it if we impeded and told people where Minneapolis police officers were trying to do their work? Seems like it is an insurrection. Yeah. It's unclear who sent the email, but it was sent by a person or persons who had access to the entire city of Minneapolis-wide employee email system. And it's headlined, Update on Activities of Federal Agents in Minneapolis, Guidance for Employees. Huh. You really believe that your city should be instructing you on what you should do to interrupt federally authorized law enforcement? Law enforcement that our taxpayer dollars goes to, that we voted for 77 million strong, and the city of Minneapolis, someone there thinks they are bigger than that. That feels insurrectiony. I agree. The email headed Update on Activities of Federal Agents in Minneapolis, Guidance for Employees. This is a check-in with employees ahead of the long weekend. The email begins. We send all employees emails when there's a critical update or new time-sensitive instruction for all city employees. This isn't like, hey, enjoy your 3-day weekend, Martin Luther King Jr., blah, blah. No. The sender then issued a bullet-pointed list of how the city was fighting the federal government over immigration and custom enforcement and other federal agents, as well as continued pointers on how to impede them. For the record, impeding federal agents is a federal offense punishable by prison time, which is why it feels insurrection-acty, doesn't it? Here's what the city is doing in response to the federal government's actions in Minneapolis, the header says. Suing the federal government. This is just ridiculous stuff, which allows, it's fodder for city workers if they wish to get involved in some lawsuit against the Trump administration, right? The next point says the city is standing by city policy to not take part in civil immigration enforcement. Then there's the admonition under the heading of protecting city spaces by keeping ICE, quote, out of city buildings unless they have a judicial warrant. First, immigration cops don't need judicial warrants to make arrests. They may have them on occasion, but many of the perps they're looking for are freaking criminals who have deportation orders. So their due process has already occurred. Furthermore, isn't it interesting that the very people claiming ICE and other federal agents are asking people for their papers, are asking federal agents for theirs? Isn't that a little weird for folks? This whole overblown claim and the faux outrage expressed by a few people on the left about how people have been encouraged to carry their passports with them to quickly prove their citizenship. I mean, really? You think this is some beyond reproach? Can you believe they asked for my driver's license? They asked for my passport. They asked me for proof of where do you think you are? This is the United States, right? If you came to this country illegally, and you've been here illegally, you don't have any kind of rights to be here. Suck it. And this is where things get really weird. City of Minneapolis employees are encouraged to work against ICE. This is what it says. Guiding city staff on how to respond if ICE activity is reported and how to protect residents' rights and safety. This reference guide outlines what city employees should do if you encounter ICE agents while on the job. How about cooperate? How about get out of the way so they can do their business? How about move aside so they can detain the people who are criminal illegal aliens? Sending it to all workers clearly sends a message. We expect you to resist. Well, they're doing that, training for that in New York City. Have you guys seen this? Training 4,000. Apparently, there are 4,000 socialists in New York City, and they're training to resist ICE the same way that this email to all citywide employees in Minneapolis is encouraging. New York City socialists mustering an army of 4,000 anti-ICE activists to bring Minnesota tactics to the Big Apple. Really? Is that where we are? And then how about this from Liz Collin? She just tweeted this out. Letter from Minnesota Nurses Association urges union members to participate in ICE Out of Minnesota, a day of truth and freedom. And it includes a statewide economic blackout and rally. Nurses in Minnesota are encouraging anti-ICE activities. They're worse than the freaking teachers. What? Well, of course, right? New York City socialists mustering this army. More than 4,000 anti-ICE activists to form rapid response battalions and obstruct the feds in an expected imminent crackdown on illegal migrants in the Big Apple. Do these people believe that this is some kind of a game? Do they think this is Call of Duty, like real-time warfare? And that going out there as a socialist and being armed with your whistle and your, sign that everybody else has, that this is where we are as a people, whereas ICE is merely trying to get rid of the people who harm us. Make it make sense. Well, at least they've got the people in Minneapolis. They've got the old folks. They've got the baby boomers. They've got the white hairs out there. They're protesting, all right. You ready to hear what they're doing? Because this is moving the needle. Oh, boy.
This is for our neighbors who are locked inside. Together we will abolish ICE.
Together we will abolish ICE to help our neighbors locked inside. If you're locked inside because you're worried about an immigration agent asking you for proof of citizenship, I'm going to go with you probably shouldn't be here. And for a bunch of old hippies, baby boomer, bad singers to get out there and peacefully join with their neighbors. Ladies and gentlemen, we have lost all element of reason in these United States. Good luck, New York. It's coming to Pittsburgh, too. Training in my hometown. I'll tell you a little bit about that when we come back. Also, remember, all of this protest nonsense, all of these wackadoodles singing the banjos, the weirdos, the bottom line is still fraud. And we're still getting ripped off. Dr. Oz says, forget Minneapolis for a while. It's California. And the number he drops will blow you away. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Oh, we're going to instruct all of our city workers how to get in the way, how to phone it in, how to relay ICE's location. Really? And now the nurses are getting in on it. How would you feel if something happened to you and you had a Trump shirt on? Do you think those nurses at that Minneapolis hospital would care for you very well?
Isn't it a shame you have to ask that?
Because the police aren't helping people on the right there. It's scary. A judge wouldn't rule on your behalf. A judge wouldn't be fair. An activist judge? Hell no. You know damn well what kind of justice you would get. Right? For what? All right, let me tell you about the Ireland's. Ireland Contracting, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. Home exterior work. It's freezing, but there's a lot of construction work that takes place in the wintertime, and Ireland Contracting does a lot. If there's something on the outside of your house that you'd like to zhuzh up, you'd like to spruce up, you'd like to fix, replace, add on, oh my, siding, soffit, fascia gutters, downspouts, sun tunnels, roofing, all new windows, electrical work, all of it, IrelandContracting.com. Western Pennsylvania's home remodeling, exterior remodeling experts, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. Fantastic people. You're going to love them. Oops. I'm going to see. Hold on. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. I just wanted to see if I had, yes. I brought 2 of my special coins in my collection from Texas Bullion Exchange. I'm going to piggyback because I was just thinking about it. 2 ads in 1 break. I want to tell you guys about Texas Bullion Exchange. WendyLovesGold.com. There has never been a better time to get basically on board with somebody at Texas Bullion Exchange. WendyLovesGold.com, 855-927-5557. Gold and silver, oh my, what precious commodities. What a wonderful time to talk to an advisor and be like, look, I need to know when is a good time to buy. Can I afford to buy gold and silver? How does that work? Do I have to have liquid cash? Can I have it in my retirement money? Can we roll it into my savings? How does this work? And what you'll get access to is some really beautiful coins like this one. This is from President Trump's first term. That was his 2016 portrait. And this is the White House. Obviously, it doesn't have the new ballroom. Didn't they drop that like a hot potato, right? And how about this one? This one's also a Trump coin. These are limited mintage things that you can get and add to your collection, add to your portfolio. Everything you get from Texas Bullion Exchange comes with all the right documentation, all of the paperwork, everything you need to follow your investment. Yes, you can have cold, hard silver and gold, platinum and palladium. You can also get it into your investments, and they will help you. WendyLovesGold.com. 855-927-5557. Ask about their principal protection program, because it guarantees you that you'll never sell your precious metals back to Texas Bullion Exchange for less than what you paid for. That's a pretty big promise. That's a pretty big piece of protection. WendyLovesGold.com. Look at that. 2 in 1.
Silver is at $94.79 right now.
Wow.
I'm going to retire.
I would just say this is a great time maybe not to buy it, but to open the door to that conversation, like to Texas Bullion. When do you think it's going to go down? Because when it goes down, I want to get blankety blanket a blank. Okay. Well, welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, as I was monitoring all this stuff going on in Minneapolis and things happening in my community, this is just ridiculous. So they're offering training to resist ICE, training to do what? Training to get people who want to protect you and your family out of the city. I don't understand it. But see, it's not rational. It has to be so in your face, ridiculous, right? It has to be so preposterous that the people who didn't wake up during COVID, the people who didn't see January 6th for what it was, the people who were unaware of the auto pen and the 4 years of punishing poor government from Joe Biden and his administration, right? What does it take to wake up the last big segment of the population? It takes people protesting law and order in the middle of the street? Yeah, it does. So here it is, Tuesday over on the south side here in Pittsburgh. If you're listening and you're from the land before time, let's go. Brock, you gearing up, ready to rock and roll? Participants gathering near the intersection of East Carson Street and 12th Street to hold a protest against ICE. And then they're going to march 3 blocks to 15th Street to conduct rapid response training when ICE appears. What should you do? How about stay home? It doesn't involve you. Stay the hell home. Well, no, that's not the point, right? So it's going on everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. None of it makes sense. It all makes sense. This is the last stand. So I want to talk about this. I think things are going to be in the grift phase. It's going to get a whole lot worse before it gets better. I want you to hear what Dr. Oz has to say, because I saw this article at zerohedge.com over the weekend. I want to read something to you. Dr. Oz says Minnesota fraud, the cover-up of the Minnesota fraud, reaches the highest levels of state government. So, of course, it's to the governor, right? It's mayors, it's governors, it's your attorney general. Dr. Mehmet Oz, the administrator of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, revealed over the weekend that healthcare fraud in Minnesota is more significant than previously known, according to his interview with Epic TV's American Thought Leaders. After speaking to whistleblowers across the state, Oz said that there's been a cover-up for years and that it reaches the highest levels of state government. Then he made reference, of course, to the Somalian Americans and the Somalian nationals who've had a significant presence in the Minneapolis Twin Cities area, who've recently been accused of, what's the number? What's the number that's going to wow you? That's going to be like, wait, what? Is $20 billion enough? Does it have to be more than that? Well, he said, Dr. Oz, then I was like, wait, what? He alleges that in California, the home health care fraud run by some of these folks is going to top $4 billion. Listen.
And here's the hard part to fathom. I don't want everyone to take a deep breath now. And Minnesota, which is cold this time of year, is just the tip of the iceberg. I think what we're seeing in Minnesota, which is billions of dollars of fraud, that hurts our most vulnerable people and puts them at risk, because you steal not only their money, but you can steal their lives by putting them at risk for bad services provided at the wrong time that actually take away opportunities for others to get treatment. But what we're seeing in Minnesota is the tip of the iceberg, because it is dwarfed by what I saw in California, which is whole-scale cultural malfeasance around healthcare. There is a acceptance that you need to be in the fraud business, especially in Los Angeles. And the magnitude of fraud there, we believe, is approximating $4 billion just in hospice and home health care. And I want to spend a few minutes walking you through what's really happening there, because if it's reflective of what might happen in other parts of the country, or might already be happening elsewhere, it's very concerning for the core infrastructure of federally funded health care.
President Trump and this administration and people on the ground and Nick Shirley and Nick Sorter and all of them have exposed this. That's why they wanted Trump dead. Not because they don't like his politics. They don't like that he's clean. They don't like that he knows. They don't like that he's done with it. They don't like that he said drain the swamp from the very beginning. I'm not so sure Donald Trump knew how deep the swamp was. Illegal immigrants rack up $1 billion plus in Texas hospital costs simply in fiscal year 2025. I want you to chew on that. This is a Fox News story. $1 billion plus just from the illegals, just in Texas, just going to the hospital. You pay for that. I don't want to hear one more Democrat, one more progressive, one more crybaby liberal bitch about the cost of living. I don't want to hear you talk about the cost of milk. I don't want to hear you talk about the cost of gas. I don't want to hear you talk about a damn thing. Because if you got rid of the illegals and you got rid of the grift, costs wouldn't be that high. Period. And yet, you clowns are the ones resisting the grift, the fraud, the abuse, the wholesale cultural malfeasance in this country from ending. you're resisting sanity, I have no time for you. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, the treason level betrayal of the American people. Stephen Miller, national treasure, next. I don't want to hear about it. I can't find a house. House costs, there's so much money. I can't find anything. Well, you can talk to your sanctuary state and sanctuary city that made all of that possible. You can look at your state legislatures, which are run by Democrats. You can look at all of your idiots in your county and city government who are Democrats and point fingers there, because that's why everything is so unaffordable and unavailable. Okay, I'm going to go potty.
So I just sent this to Wendy. Breaking, the Department of Justice says it intends to charge Don Lemon under the Ku Klux Klan Act, a law that prohibits threatening, harming, or intimidating people to prevent them from exercising their God-given rights. Do I think it will happen? No. Would it be a fantastic story? And he's going to try to hide behind, I'm a journalist. Journalists can break the law. Breaking the law is breaking the law. You're not allowed to do that. That's why you don't see CNN in there. You don't see Fox News in there doing that kind of stuff. Just because you call yourself a journalist doesn't give you a right to break the law. I think that would be fantastic. The Ku Klux Klan Act. Love it. This is the thing they need to make with everything. It doesn't have to be Don Lemon goes to jail. Just set precedent. You know, and this may be wrong of me to say. Make him spend his money. Make him spend his money. Do what you tried to do to Trump. Break him financially. Did you see what I just sent you?
I did not.
The DOJ is talking about the Ku Klux Klan Act and arresting Don Lemon for that, which is that's the trolling. They just need to do it to set the precedent.
He would love it.
So would I.
He would love it. The same way Jake Lang would love it.
Yeah.
You know? So I thought for a hot second when they were doing the training for resist ICE bullcrap near my neighborhood in Wilkinsburg, I thought for a hot second about going. But nothing good comes of that. I'll then become a problem. There will be resistance. There would be some kind of a skirmish, I would imagine. Because I would expose them. I wouldn't be allowed. They'd probably kick me out.
Right.
If people recognize me. Right? So I'd probably get kicked out. There would be a mess. And I'd become a story. I don't want that.
I may grab a cigar and it's literally across the street tomorrow from the cigar shop. So I may grab a cigar and just meander over just to see what they're saying.
It's preposterous. It's disappointing, and people know better. Disinfectwithsniper.com. My goodness, have we had some great results with them. Those flags, the 250th anniversary of this country flag.
Yeah, he had to reorder.
$60. He had to reorder, and he says if you like them with the embroidery, to please call the store. If you need help with that, you can email Brock or me, and we'll help you get in touch with them.
Or you can go to Disinfect with Sniper and hit the contact us.
Oh, thank you.
And they can you can email them, and
that's perfect. That makes much more sense. Makes much more sense. Disinfectwithsniper.com. I will tell you, I had frizzy hair this morning. I know, shocker. And I needed something to wet it, so I put Sniper in it. Brock's like, you're spraying Sniper in your hair. I'm like, I know. It's just a little frizzy, and it's going to... He's like, gosh, Sniper does everything. I'm like, it does. It's one of my styling aids. Hospital-grade disinfectant. Greatest thing you'll ever have. Safe enough to squirt in your mouth, and you wouldn't be, it's not going to make your plants... kill your plants, not going to kill your pets. It's not going to kill anything. It's going to kill germs is what it's going to do. And it's just great. Everything he's got is stuff that we love, and he's continually adding more. So if you love Disinfect with Sniper and you love what our friend does on his site, you're going to love the additions. Keep an eye on that. But support him. This is the best stuff. Literally, it takes the place of every other thing you have underneath your kitchen sink. You could just be like, and just, here you go. That's it. Disinfectwithsniper.com.
I use it in my car.
How many times this weekend?
Out.
I need a holster.
Yeah. Shut the door, let it dry.
Mm-hmm. And it smells great.
Mm-hmm.
Afterwards, it just smells clean. It doesn't smell chemically. It's not like, oh, what's that? And if you use it, I've used it in the shower as well. And you're not like, because it's great with athlete's foot. So any fungal infection, you spray the floor of your shower with Sniper. See ya. Won't be ya. But then you can hop in the shower and not be like, dying. I do. I have a terrible headache right now. Ugh. You just sent me regarding the DOJ. I want to read you this. Brock just sent me a tweet from an account on X called The General. And it says, breaking, the Department of Justice says it intends to charge Don Lemon under the KKK Act, the Ku Klux Klan Act, a law that prohibits threatening, harming, or intimidating people to prevent them from exercising their God-given rights and your right to worship without having a bunch of angry leftists invade the sanctuary of worship. That's one of those protected things, right? Well, not if you're a triggered leftist. You can go and you can invade any space. You can barge anywhere. You can go anywhere you want. Remember Maxine 1. You get in their faces and you tell them that they're not welcome anymore. If you see them at a restaurant, at a convenience store, you get in their faces. It's such a warm, loving, kind, joyful party, isn't it? The Democrats love them. So we'll see if Brock can get, we've got some expanding details on that story. Let's see what we've got here. So this is according to
Benny Johnson. He had Harmeet Dillon on.
Oh, the KKK Act makes it illegal to threaten, hurt, or intimidate people to prevent them from exercising their rights. Harmeet Dillon said the Klan Act is one of the most important federal civil rights statutes. It is a law that makes it illegal to terrorize and violate the civil rights of citizens. Whenever people conspire this, the Klan Act can be used. Everyone in the protest community needs to know that the fullest force of the federal government is going to come down and prevent this from happening and put people away for a long time. Okay, well, I appreciate that. And I think we're all hopeful that that's the case. I don't know about you guys. You feeling it? I'm not feeling it. You know when I will feel it? I'll feel it when the 11th Airborne Division from Alaska, right? Maybe, hell, I don't know, drops in for a visit and tries to restore law and order in Minneapolis. We'll see what happens. I want to talk about what Stephen Miller said over the weekend, because it is, as always, it is succinct, though it's packed with, 7,000 punches in a 45-second audio soundbite from this guy. It is a numbers game. And this is what Stephen Miller is saying. Look, remember what the Democrats are doing. They're desperate to protect their work of the last several years. And the work was acknowledging we don't have a grassroots group of people joining the Democrat Party. If anything, we're losing members. They're walking off the reservation. The black voter has walked away from our plantation, right? They can't be conned anymore into thinking that we support them and we give a crap about them because we've done nothing for them for generations. So we need to import all of these people over. Stephen Miller's like, look, this was the plan all along. Get them here illegally, get them here however it has to happen so that they can vote. And all of this mumbo jumbo around it is meant to take your eye off the ball and to prevent them from being deported. Listen.
What Democrats are doing is vote harvesting, fraud harvesting, ballot harvesting, crime harvesting. Ask yourself, why would Fry, why would Waltz sanction such egregious violence against ICE officers? Because they understand that this scheme, this mass migration scheme, is the heart of the Democratic Party's political power. It is their plan for power today and long into the future. So they know that if this administration of President Trump is successful in reversing this invasion, it will deal a generational blow to Democrat political power.
100% correct. 100%. This is a matter of political survival. And for the grift to continue because everybody still needs the money, right? How about this story? Migrant influx pushing Massachusetts shelter costs past $1 billion in fiscal year 2025. This is just Massachusetts, same way it was just in Texas, that migrant costs at hospitals in fiscal year 2025 topped $1 billion. Same thing in Massachusetts, except this time it's to shelter these people. When is the American taxpayer going to revolt not against ICE, but against the Democrats who continually bring people in and force us to foot the bill? Where is that outrage, I wonder? Is it percolating in Cambridge? Is it percolating there in Boston? I want you to hear Stephen Miller continue. He says, look, sanctuary cities protect criminals. That's what this is. They need the criminals, which is why they won't give you the SNAP data. Criminals who are illegal need to get paid. They need to eat. And that's what we're doing. Obviously, for a reason, you can connect the dots.
Yes, well, sanctuary cities are jurisdictions that shield and shelter criminal illegal aliens from deportation. So, for example, in Minneapolis and Minnesota, when an illegal alien commits a crime and is deportable and can and should be removed from the country, the city of Minneapolis and the state of Minnesota prevent ICE from arresting and deporting the offender, even when they are charged or convicted of heinous crimes, including crimes against women, crimes against children, crimes of violence, and instead they release them back onto the street where they can continue to reoffend. So ICE over and over and over again goes out into the community to find and arrest these fugitives who have since committed additional egregious crimes after they were released by Fry and Waltz and Ellison. These are acts of insurrection against the laws of the United States and against the sovereignty of the United States. Foreign illegal aliens who broke into this country, who then raped children, who committed human trafficking, sex trafficking, drug trafficking, protected, shielded, sheltered, coddled, defended at every level by the leadership in Minnesota. And then when ICE goes out to make these arrests, they unleash violent mobs to attack, assault, and impede ICE officers. And they refuse to allow the city police to protect those ICE officers in the conduct of their duties, willfully aiding and abetting this violence.
Now you have to ask yourself, the protesters, do they have a clue? Are they stupid? Or do they hate Trump more than they hate criminal illegal aliens who would terrorize them and their families? It's a great question. Here's Jake Tapper on with Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry. He says, look, ICE is picking up dangerous felons. Tom Homan even said so, and you guys are protesting that? Listen.
So the position of the administration, first of all, a week ago, as you know, ICE released a list of 19 undocumented immigrants that they said they picked up in Minnesota They've been convicted of crimes ranging from sexual assault and child abuse to murder. The White House border czar, Tom Homan, said they need to pick up those dangerous individuals. And he said specifically that you can fix this issue today. Take a listen to what Tom Homan had to say.
We're arresting illegal aliens when we're out there looking for criminals. You want less collateral arrest? Then let us in the damn jail. Try and Walz could fix this today. Let us in the jail so you can arrest a public safety threat and the safety and security of a jail rather than forcing us into the street to find these bad guys.
What's your response to that, sir?
I'm going to take the most easy position I think I've ever taken. Hey, in Minneapolis, we're anti-murder. Second most easy position, we're anti-rape. Third most easy position, we're anti-crime. You can't do those things in Minneapolis, and if you do, we investigate them.
You're a criminal illegal alien, in which case, well, as long as you're making money and you give us a cut, I mean, you can do whatever the hell you want. Nice try, Jacob. How about this? He continues, we work with federal authorities often, but disappearing people off of the streets, this is obviously their talking point. This is how you get the emotions, yes? This is how you get the white college-educated toxic liberal chicks out there, the scourge of society, to think it's time for them to go out and resist.
Do we partner to get the bad guys? Of course we do. Here's what we don't partner on. We don't partner to just yank random people off the street because they happen to look Latino or they happen to look Somali. We don't partner to do constant checks of passports requiring people to bring their passport or all this identification around with them all the time. I mean, that's not America.
Really? But you want ICE agents to basically be flushed out, to not be allowed to eat in restaurants, to not be able to spend the night in a hotel, to not be able to walk anywhere without having angry mobs around them. Oh, Jacob, you are such a wuss. You're such a liberal, progressive, box-checking dope. People are like, what box does he check? I don't know. Is he married? It looks like he's not, but I don't know. I guess he is. I'm going to say he checks a box for me. You're a emasculated progressive man. He's got a kayak somewhere. And then finally, Jake Tapper with Jacob Fry. He says, look, ICE isn't about the law. It's about intimidation. Really? Because if you stayed home and got out of the way, it would be very quick, very swift, but we all know that.
I want our police officers not hunting down a father who has done nothing wrong. I want our police officers working to stop violent crime and prevent carjackings and do all this, the basic stuff that you need to do in a city. And so, no, I don't think Homan understands the basic dynamic as to how stuff works in Minnesota here. But the bottom line is, as we know, this is not about safety. It's not about crime. This is about intimidation. And in Minneapolis, we're not going to be intimidated.
All right. Kristi Noem announced more than 10,000 arrests of illegal migrants in Minnesota, ribs Walz and Fry for protecting criminals. NewYorkPost.com, more than 10,000 illegal immigrants have been arrested in Minneapolis since the start of the second Trump administration. 3,000 of them cuffed in the last 6 weeks alone, DHS announced Monday. Peace and public safety in Minneapolis, Secretary Noem proclaimed in a post on X. Oh, I hope so. Among those arrested, Noem said, were accused of killing Americans, hurting children, and raining terror in Minneapolis because Tim Walz and Jacob Fry refused to protect their own people and instead protect criminals. Do you think that any of these rabid protesters who stormed that church and interrupted church services yesterday to demand that we all pay attention to them and their insanity? Do you think they know that these criminals being arrested from the streets have killed American citizens? Do you think? Maybe? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, I guess this crap is so absurd. Eric Swalwell wants to be governor of California. And he says if he becomes governor, he's going to take away the driver's licenses from ICE agents. Say What? Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
How will they identify themselves? I love that they sit there and say, well, you know, you're asking people to.
Bob, I'm sorry. I'm on the air. What's up? Mm-hmm.
You have these people that sit here and say,
you know what? I would.
You gotta
there's
carry
sherry
papers
in the liquor cabinet. I just had to go buy
papers.
the
You mean a driver's license? You mean
so you can
I have to carry my concealed carry permit? People carry licenses and ID all the time.
Like a splash of white.
Next time I get pulled over for speeding, they're gonna be like,
because I don't
ID and registration. I'll be like, I don't like you asking for my papers.
Okay. Thanks. Bye.
Was that Schmobby?
Yes.
I got to text him.
He called me.
I know.
He called me. But he called me to ask, he's making something. He's making dinner for us tonight. And so he had to ask a question. And I appreciate it, but it's like, hello? Oh, no. What are you doing? Leave your mom alone? It's just silly.
No, I want to know if he's in on the Super Bowl.
Oh,
poll.
Jesus. You're all mental. I swear it's one dope after another.
What? I need to know if he wants to share a square.
See, sharing a square sounds different to me than it does to you.
Yeah, I'm not asking him to wipe. I'm saying, would you like to be on a gambling?
Would you like to, at 17, be a part of my illicit gambling?
How much?
Proclivities? This is what my life has become. Who do I want to tell you guys about? Healthy Cell. I want to tell you guys about Healthy Cell. I'm really hot on this one. Calm mood. So every now and again, when I don't think about it, my watch, I have a Garmin. It's great for golf, but it also has an alarm that's quiet so I don't wake up Joe when I wake up in the morning. But it also tells me when I'm stressed out. And it's like, ooh, you need to like temper things down. And sometimes I'm like, really? I don't feel like I'm stressed or anxious. But what you could do when that happens is just take one of these microgels from Healthy Cell, which is this delicious way of getting dietary supplements into your body. And it's so much more absorbed by the body when it's in a gel form. It's like a little squeezy, like apple juice or Jello or what have you. Yogurt, right? Suck it in. Fantastic. One of many formulations. And this is like thinking beyond pharma. It's like, how can I get adaptogens, nutraceuticals, and things that occur naturally around me? How can I get that into my system so that I benefit without feeling like I need to have a prescription pad? HealthyCell.com. HealthyCell.com. Their things are phenomenal. I love them. Focus and recall. I take the immune boost, calm mood. Brock is taking the bone strength one. Check them out. HealthyCell.com/Wendy. You're going to love them. Innovative, fantastic products that are delicious, that your body needs and craves without getting hooked on a prescription pad. HealthyCell.com/Wendy. I've got like 8 of their boxes right here. They've got 15 things, and they do the bundles, mix and match. Focus and recall and REM sleep. Come on. What are you talking about? It's great. Great company.
Schmalby wants a square by himself.
How much? Triggered progressives. And I'm going to go with Jacob Fry's one of those guys, the Minneapolis mayor. You know, it's so disingenuous, everything that he says. Everything that he says can be dismantled. Everything he says has a counterpoint. In his mind, And in the progressive mind, there is no counterpoint. There is one way. It is that way. And if you're against that way, you're the enemy. You're worthy of being protested. You're worthy of being doxxed. They'll hunt you down at your job. They'll ruin your child's life at school. They will follow you. There is no limit. Somebody who is triggered and deranged will not go to convince you that you're wrong and you should also be triggered and deranged. It doesn't make any sense. It's pathological. You know, Eric Swalwell is a special slice of nutty himself. And in fact, we're going to end today's program with a little slice of bad news for Eric Swalwell, which I'm going to delight in, which is why I'm saving it for the very last segment. But I can tell you right now, this guy who thinks he's going to become California's next governor has a warning to ICE agents, and he puffed up his chest, and he said this. He says he's going to strip driver's licenses from ICE officers who wear masks if he becomes governor. See, it's funny because Eric Swalwell and morons like him were just as dangerous during COVID when they hissed at you for not wearing a mask. Remember that? Walking your dog in the woods and some mass lunatic wearing like surgical gloves with a bottle of hand sanitizer walking through the park was like at you if you weren't doing the same. And you're like, easy there, psycho. Calm down. How about a little common sense? These are the same people who now demand that ICE agents remove their masks. Show us who you are. Put yourself in danger for doing a job you were hired to do. Eric Swalwell vowed Wednesday, I'm a few days off, sorry, that if elected governor, he's going to strip driver's licenses from federal immigration officers wearing masks. If the governor has the ability to issue driver's licenses to people in California, he said, if you're going to wear a mask and not identify yourself, you're not going to be eligible to drive a vehicle in California. It's just it is a pile-on of dumbness. And all of this is making you and me dumber. You and I dumber. California law banning immigration and customs enforcement officers from wearing masks while conducting operations in the state went into effect on Thursday. And upon signing the legislation in September, Gavin Newsom said that ICE officers would no longer be hidden from accountability. Should everybody who actually, I don't know, has common sense, isn't a deranged leftist, anybody who believes in law and order, who believes in the why would you live in these states? And I understand it's a big deal. It's a big deal to be like, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. Because that's where I am about the land before time, Pennsylvania. People like Eric Swalwell will drive the economic base and the base of law and order, of sanity, of protection out of the state of California. And it'll be total craziness. And I think that's almost what he wants. Because there's another guy, Adrian Bofo. This guy is I guess he's considered a delegate. He's a Democrat in the House from Maryland. And he's putting out a bill now. He's gonna add on to Eric Swalwell. He's gonna go one step farther. You ready? This is what he thinks. Maryland Democrat wants to ban ICE veterans from getting hired by police. So it's not okay if you ever worked for ICE. If you worked for ICE, we're now going to have punitive measures to prevent you from making a living in law enforcement. Because that makes sense. Let's listen to this. A Maryland Democrat has introduced legislation that would prevent U.S. immigration and customs enforcement agents from being hired in state or local law enforcement roles. The legislation, which is called the Icebreaker Act of 2026. Is this a game? Is this a game to you, Adrian? You little punk? Is this funny to you? Do you really think ICE agents, you little twerp, are out having fun putting their lives in the line while you guys give carte blanche passes to illegal rapists, murderers, pedophiles, and the like? Who are you, sir, besides a freaking disgrace? You think it's cute? The Icebreaker Act of 2026. You're an embarrassment. You're a reason people should never vote Democrat, because it gives us people like you and Hank Johnson, Right? You are a danger, sir. You're a danger because you don't understand what's going on. You don't understand that we are so done with you. All it's going to take is one stupid protester pushing a little too far. This is what they want. They want full-out civil freaking war. 11th Airborne. Are you ready? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, friends, oh my. America's moves on Greenland are getting interesting, and there's a reason for it. Next. We're going to prevent you from making money. We're punitive willows. Jacob Fry looks like everybody who is soft on the left, who's a dude. With his floppy hairstyle. I'd love to have a little time alone with him. That sounded creepy, but you know what I mean. All right. Let's see. There we go. All right.
Trying to find the...
I want to tell you guys about bodybyAim360.com. This is the greatest time. This is their busy time. This is when people are like, you know what? You finally reach that point and you're like, I could only eat celery for the next month, but I'm not thinking that's going to move my needle very much. I need help. And it's usually when people are like, I need help. I watched Brock lose 70 pounds, right? I watched Brock get his blood work and all the results come back. And Dr. Dubiak was like, no wonder you're struggling with this and that. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to change this. We're going to change that. And look, in 6 months, my man lost 70 pounds, right? This is at your fingertips. It works. And the beautiful thing about Dr. Dubiak's program is it works forever, right? Once you understand what it is in your body that the food that you're choosing isn't working with, you make better choices and then you start losing weight. And I remember when Brock would come to work and he's like, yeah, I'm down another 2 pounds. Yeah, I'm down another 2 pounds. Yeah, I'm down another 3 pounds. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then that moment when I looked in the camera and I looked at his face and I was like, I see your cheekbones. You look great. This can be you. And he showed you how to do it. You watched him do it. You can do it too. 412-227-9255. bodybyAim360.com. 412-227-9255. Sometimes you need help. And when you need help and you're ready, you're seriously ready. This is it. This is for keeps. bodybyAim360.com. Got a walking billboard right there.
Wow.
What?
Billboard makes me sound like husky. That's phenomenal.
Look at that. So imagine you're changing how you eat and you're exercising. This is Kelly Morgan and her 90-day Ignite. You want to do some serious workouts? It's another option. Online, this is huge. Morgainsfitness.com, MORGAINZ fitness.com. She's like, look, you can live in Dubuque. You can live in Dallas. You can live anywhere. And I'll connect with you. We'll do this online together, virtually. I'll show you how to exercise. You eat, you exercise, you lose inches, fat, weight, all of it. I mean, ridiculous. Morgain's Fitness, MORGAINZ fitness.com. There's just so many wonderful ways for us to be healthy. And probably drinking beer isn't part of it, but that's why you work out, right? What were you going to say, Brock? I interrupted you, I think.
No. So I'm contemplating reading I have a friend that goes down rabbit holes.
Oh, yeah.
And he said that on the boards he looks at, I don't know what they are. He just says, I look at the boards. And he said, just so you know, when you see it, don't get sucked in. It says a decorated veteran soldier is coming forward on pedophilia, ops, and human trafficking connected to the killing of children and other dark stuff. This is the part that's going to get everybody upset. This man tells you his name, William Riley, is going to make claims against Trump and others that they were at these places where children are being eliminated. The white hats, Trump's the good guys, are going to start expose human trafficking pedos, Epstein. Don't worry, Trump is setting a stage. Epstein is a huge, gigantic saga. Trump is in possession of one of the biggest, darkest ops in history. It's been taking place for a long time. So I'm curious to see if it drops.
Well, and you know what? How many of us have heard about adrenochrome? And we've been like, come on, they're literally doing child sacrifices and drinking the blood of babies or of children, because I guess when they're terrified, there's this thing that's released, and this thing is like the golden chalice of youth. And if you drink it and you get their adrenochrome, you live longer, or you look better. And I don't know. I look at Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. I'm like, y'all are clearly not drinking.
Yeah, you look at like they age like.
Like, I don't know what happened.
And then all of a sudden they go back on TV and now they're normal.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. Yeah. So anyway, I have a hard time. Like, my mind doesn't allow me to go there.
No.
I can't go there. Would I be surprised? Yes. Yes, I'd be absolutely flabbergasted, which is why I can't go there. Like, I have to believe still that there is basic decency, that there is still, right and wrong, and that when you fiddle with kids, that you get, I don't know, a tree falls on you, you get into an accident, I don't know, that the world takes care of it. I'm very sheltered in.
I don't look at this stuff. Someone's saying it's the keyboards. Okay.
How about, I've heard about like Hillary, remember Virginia Giuffre was writing about Bill and Hill were out at the island, and she would ride along with a shotgun on a golf course or on a golf cart, and they'd aim at people and shoot them.
Like Hunger Games.
Like Hunger Games would kill people. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No. I can't. Would I be surprised? No. Ew. Does that make me feel so gross to say that? Yes.
I agree with you. I don't read. Like, my friend sends me this stuff. It is what it is,
I know people talk about it. I
That's one of those things, though. If someone's calling it now and it comes true, I don't want to be sucked in with all the.
Right. So they're going to say they're going to come out and have stuff on Trump, allegedly, when the reality is the opposite. Okay.
Yeah, we'll see.
Days of our lives. Jeez.
4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family. She once hosted a 3-hour show in just 15 minutes. She once intimidated the Electoral College to audit itself. Her monologues are so sharp, they're considered a concealed carry weapon. Fact-checker sites routinely issue her a retraction a week in advance. Even her commercial breaks trend on social media. Her freedom of speech has diplomatic immunity. She doesn't just drain the swamp has to ask for cab fare. Wendy Bell is the most interesting conservative woman on radio. Keep rumbling, my friends. 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live. Hey, if you haven't gotten our podcast, it's super easy. So each hour we take out all the commercials, whittle it down, and you get 40 minutes of pure content. 3 40-minute segments every single day. Go to wherever you get your favorite podcast and just plug in our name, Wendy Bell Radio, and then download us and join our army. We're growing almost to 7 million podcast downloads. That's like, my face just melted off. All right. So welcome back, you guys. I want to talk a little bit more and focus a little bit more on Greenland, because the rhetoric there is getting more and more interesting. So President Trump over the weekend slapped some tariffs on the European countries of NATO over Greenland. And this is a very basic thing. Trump said, look, that you guys don't pay, 5% of your GDP for your own national defense, that the United States has come to your aid individually so many times that we have paid hand over fist for so long, so much more than our fair share for the quote unquote privilege of being in NATO. Yeah, we're not going to do that anymore. And if you're going to oppose as a NATO country our desire to acquire Greenland, which by the way, we should have because we've been paying for all of you other schlubs for so long in your security. If you're going to go against our desire to acquire Greenland from Denmark, well, we're going to slap a little tariff action on you and we'll see how you like it. So that's what he said. This is his truth. I'm going to put it up here for you. He said, this is basically, he's like, look, we're protecting global peace and security. We're not trying to get rich off of Greenland. We're not trying to pull a fast one. We need it because there's a serious threat in the Arctic from our enemies, China and Russia. And you might not want to think there are enemies, but they're encroaching in our hemisphere and they need to get the hell out. So this is what he truthed. We have subsidized Denmark and all of the countries of the European Union and others for many years by not charging them tariffs or any forms of remuneration. Now, after centuries, it is time for Denmark to give back. World peace is at stake. China and Russia want Greenland, and there's not a thing that Denmark can do about it. They currently have 2 dog sleds as protection, one added recently, and he's not kidding. Only the United States of America, under President Donald J. Trump, can play in this game and very successfully at that. Nobody will touch this sacred piece of land, especially since the national security of the United States and the world at large is at stake. On top of everything else, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, the UK, the Netherlands, and Finland have journeyed to Greenland for purposes unknown. Oh boy. This is a very dangerous situation for the safety, security, and survival of our planet. These countries who are playing this very dangerous game have put a level of risk in play that is not tenable or sustainable. Therefore, it is imperative that in order to protect global peace and security, strong measures be taken so that this potentially perilous situation ends quickly and without question. So, starting on February 1st, 2026, all of the above-mentioned countries, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, the UK, the Netherlands, and Finland, will be charged a 10% tariff on any and all goods sent to the United States of America. On June 1st, 2026, the tariff will be increased to 25%. This tariff will be due and payable until such time as a deal is reached for the complete and total purchase of Greenland. The United States has been trying to do this transaction for over 150 years. Many presidents have tried, and for good reason. But Denmark has always refused. Now, because of the Golden Dome and modern-day weapons systems, both offensive and defensive, the need to acquire is especially important. Hundreds of billions of dollars are currently being spent on security programs having to do with the dome, including for the possible protection of Canada. And this very brilliant but highly complex system can only work at its maximum potential and efficiency because of angles and bounds if this land is included in it. Guy has done his homework. The United States of America is immediately open to negotiation with Denmark and or any of these countries that have put so much at risk despite all that we have done for them, including maximum protection over so many decades. Thank you for your attention to this matter. There's a lot baked into one comment there, ladies and gentlemen. A lot. I want you to hear this guy. His name is The Haunted Side. It's what he goes by on X. And as, by the way, Tom Tillis, and it looks like, who was it? Oh, Lisa Murkowski, who instead of getting together as Republicans with the president, President Trump in squeezing Denmark to get the United States to acquire Greenland, they decided to fly over to Denmark and provide solidarity with the Danish to prevent President Trump's acquisition. Rhinos. I want you to hear this guy, though. He says, look, it's obvious the blowhard muscle of Europe, which is sending a few dozen troops to Greenland, that's how these European nations reacted. They sent a handful of military troops to defend Greenland from the President of the United States. Listen.
Well, French President Emmanuel Macron threatened President Trump, and he thought it was just all going to go his way, and he was sadly mistaken, y'all. Check this out. So French President Emmanuel Macron thought he was about to put Donald Trump in his place over Greenland. He went on social media. He talked real big. He warned of unprecedented consequences if the United States moved on Greenland. France, according to Macron, was ready to act. Land forces, air assets, naval power, very serious stuff. Then someone asked a basic question: how many troops are actually going? And the answer embarrassed all of Europe. France sent 15 troops. Germany sent 13. Sweden sent 3. Norway sent 2. And Britain sent 1. That is 34 European troops total. Not 34,000, y'all. 34. Media outlets still ran headlines claiming European troops arrive in Greenland, quietly admitting later that the entire force could fit on one bus.
Oh my gosh, and it's a short bus at that, and they are calling it, this is hilarious, Operation Arctic Endurance. Oh yeah, except there's no plan, no people, no agenda, no direction, and no purpose. Listen.
And it got worse, y'all. The so-called NATO operation backing this stunt, Arctic Endurance, had no public record, no dates, no planning trail, no NATO listing. Defense reporters confirmed it appeared out of thin air the day before the announcement. So while Europe played dress up, Denmark met quietly with J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio. After that meeting, Danish officials looked shaken. Trump later made it clear Greenland matters for U.S. security. Russia and China both want influence in the Arctic. America will not step aside. Europe threatened, Europe postured, and Europe folded. Welcome to Trump's second term, where America sets the terms and Europe counts to 34.
I think that was a great assessment. Now, over at GB News, Great Britain News, business development executive Hillary Fordwich, she defended President Trump's tariffs. You didn't get anything like this in the United States, but in the UK, oh yeah, you do.
Just take a step back for a second. Could you imagine saying to a British taxpayer, a Dutch taxpayer, German taxpayer, Swedish taxpayer, Norwegian taxpayer, by the way, we want you to give 5% of your GDP to defend the US southern border? They'd all be like, well, this is absolutely ridiculous. Why should we defend the US southern border? Whereas American taxpayers have been paying for NATO for all these years. And to that extent, President Trump is completely correct. NATO would be nothing without all that the US has done for so many years. And I will say that Denmark isn't capable of defending Greenland. They really aren't. And with all those rare earth minerals, with the now impending threat from China, the impending threat from Russia, you do know that they don't have the icebreakers that they need. You do know that the Russians have them, that the Chinese have them. I think this is definitely, it's national security for the West. And basically the US is NATO. And I think that it's a great pity that European nations that have been heavily subsidized and protected by the US for so many years don't appreciate and see this as a massive Western issue, not just a US issue. Unfortunately, Denmark isn't capable. And I do think, even though 92% of those Greenlanders supposedly don't want to become Americans, I think when they're offered the range is supposedly between 100,000 and 500,000 each, they might change their minds. And jobs when all those rare earth minerals might be mined, which the Danes have also failed to do.
And by the way, the people on the ground here in America, this TikToker guy, he sees through all of this. America is paying attention.
Hey, yo, gang, y'all missing this whole Greenland play. And I'm almost disappointed in y'all, man, but here's the play. Trump told NATO to increase their defense budget to 5%. Do you think NATO did that? They pledged it, but you think they did that? So Trump is like, yo, I'm going to take Greenland. Because if y'all let Greenland float out there with no protection, China or Russia gonna come and scoop that, and y'all ain't got the defense to even defend it. So let me just say I'm gonna get Greenland. And you know what NATO doing? They scrambling to get the troops, they scrambling to get their defense up, and they're going to Greenland right now. And you know what? The United States ain't even have to bust a grape. Yo, Trump is that's my dog.
He is 18 steps ahead of everybody. And by the way, I'm going to say that's why the 11th Airborne is significant. The Alaskans, extremely cold weather. Oh, it's all going to come together, friends. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, all right, it's time. Let's talk about Don Leming's Elmo storming a church, and now he could face arrest. What? Oh, delicious next. Show us that there's not two tiers of justice. Freaking show me. Show me. Because if I walked into something and I disrupted, right? I wonder where all those Patriot goofballs are. We walk around with the flags that all had the same masks on. Who were they? The Patriot Front?
Yes.
Was that their name?
I think so.
Because that's exactly who they were. Not FBI. Not feds. Or whatever the hell they were. Remember all of them walking? It's so stupid. Make it make sense. Anyway, so some of the weird rabbit hole stuff that we talk about off the air, right? There's so much, and I know a lot of you guys are way deeper in it than we are, but I'm going to literally, Brock said that he and I are going to get on a live stream with his friend who's a total rabbit holer, and he's going to walk me through some of the stuff, the prevailing things that are going on, that those conspiracy theorists out there are positing. And like, I don't know if I believe any of it or don't believe any of it. I could see all of it being potential, which is so super freaky. But this is why we get together on Sundays. So weekends with Wendy, so we can go down some rabbit holes together. And maybe we'll go down some juicier ones in the weeks ahead. Right? We did pretty well. We were number 4 on the leaderboard with that yesterday. I think it would be so annoying to be like a hardcore content creator who's like out there covering the front lines of what's going on. And here I am drinking coffee, wearing a tiara, talking about conspiracy theories. Anyway, you guys are fun and I love you. Thank you. It's ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. So let's see. Oh. Already 39,000 views. That's awesome, you guys. 63 watching live. Thank you, 63,000. That is just so huge. It's not even funny. 2.64 rumbles. I don't know if we're going to hit 3,000. That's my goal, but I have pledged that I'm not going to incessantly browbeat you, so I'm not going to. How about that?
So do we want in this segment both of those?
What do you think?
I think the one with the preacher, the pastor, is good, and the one then he talks to somebody that's just there too. So it's up to you.
So
I just want to be prepared if.
Yeah, I didn't really get the vibe that the guy I had originally selected is a church, is in any way like affiliated with the leadership there. Like he's not.
No, he was just a parishioner.
He's a parishioner. Okay, so let's start with which one is what's the more reasonable order to you?
I would say I would start with the pastor, go to the parishioner.
Okay. Do we know that? I don't know who the pastor is. Let's see here. Who was pastor? And I have to remember it's on Lemon, not Lemming.
That's okay. You can say Lemming.
All right. Let's see.
I don't know if he actually identifies him.
Well, because I don't think he knew what the hell he was doing, but he wanted the optics. To go live on something like that is just like, ew. He interviewed Jonathan Parnell, the lead pastor of Cities Church. And the guy who's basically, he's like, get out. Okay. I was saying how you said that I could rabbit hole with you and your friends sometime.
Yeah.
And then maybe we could share some of those deets on a Sunday show. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. So the DOJ is now investigating this uprising, this invasion, if you will, an anti-ICE protest at a St. Paul church. It's called the Cities Church. And so imagine you're there Sunday services, you're praying, you're whatevering you're doing, right? And a bunch of whack jobs storm in, get in your face with cell phones, get in your pew, literally stand in your face to be like, oh yeah, what do you think about us now? It's like, what the Sam Hill is going on? Activists from the the Racial Justice Network staged a protest at Cities Church in St. Paul against Pastor David Easterwood, who they say is also the acting ICE field office director in Minnesota. So they went in and tried to shake this guy down, who's a pastor, they allege, and also works with ICE. You're going to go in there and do what? Why? In what world does this make sense? I want you to hear Don Lemon, who decided to insert himself, fly from New York, go to Minneapolis, be a part of this raid, or be in St. Paul for this raid. Here he is talking to Jonathan Parnell, who's the lead pastor of Cities Church, while they're interrupting services. It's unreal.
What do you think of this? I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship.
But there were folks who will say,
I have to take care of my flock.
Okay, but listen, we live there's a constitution in the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
Yeah. We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me, though.
We're here to worship Jesus. Yes. That's why we're here. Yes. Okay, that's why we're here. Okay. That's what we're about.
Don't you think Jesus would be understanding
we're about
and love these folks?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them as a Christian?
No one is willing to talk.
Okay.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked that you actually would also leave this building.
You don't want us to chronicle what happened?
Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
We're here to worship. Yeah. We're here to worship. Okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I'm a Christian. Here's Don Lemon then asking somebody else, getting in this other guy's face. Sounds like he's a parishioner. Let's see how that went down.
How do you feel about allegedly, according to the protesters here, there's a member of ICE who is a pastor here or is a member of the clergy?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
A member of the clergy or a pastor here is works with ICE, and that's why they're upset.
I didn't know that.
Allegedly, I don't know. That's what they say.
Okay, well, I would say before just ramming into a church, maybe it'd be good to get some more information first. Yeah. But you said talking is the answer, right?
Yeah.
Well, then maybe instead of making assumptions, it'd be good to ask the person first before making that assumption, then going into their church.
Yeah. I don't know if they tried to talk to anyone. Would you be okay with your pastor talking to them?
I think conversations will be great. I think we need more communication. I don't necessarily agree with what's going on with the ICE raids and stuff, but I also don't think fire with fire is the answer.
I mean, it's total madness. And by the way, it's so weird because we remember Merry Christmas. We remember this fine holiday greeting that Tim Walz gave people. He had a little public statement about beware, because he doesn't think under Trump's administration it would be beyond ICE agents' realm to invade holiday church services.
So I would fully expect, and we are preparing for, an influx of more agents, more of the very visible public theatrics of the raids, of the harassments, and you got faith leaders here. I would not put it past this administration to target midnight mass services amongst folks going to worship, because that's who they are.
That's who they are. Well, no, sir, that's who you are. See, who ICE is is law enforcement, federal law enforcement, and their job is to get rid of people who've broken the law and to send them back to their homeland. And what they're doing right now, Governor Walz is finding the worst of the worst who you haven't cared about. People who terrorize your city. And they've made arrests. They've made 10,000 arrests in Minnesota since President Trump took the oath of office the second time. So there's Tim Walz fear-mongering where the real bad actors are among the protesters. I mean, go figure. It's almost like you could see it coming. I mean, Bill Maher, we're going to leave you with a little Bill Maher coming up after the break. It's fun when the quote-unquote media and Hollywood sorts get upset about COVID, even though they were completely down with it for so many years. Next. I thought that the pastor was great. He's like, I actually have to take care of my family and my flock, so if you could leave, that would be super. There is no, would you talk to them? Would you talk to them? Would you agree to talk to them? They're not going to talk. There is no, the reason you stormed in a church service is specifically to not talk, but to rather disrupt and to shout, right? So there is no communicating with nut jobs.
You have to love the irony, too, of Don Lemon saying to the pastor, I'm going to be respectful. Please don't touch me.
You're not respectful. You're interrupting my service. Get the F out.
I want you, don't touch me. Leave my personal space, but I'm going to come in your personal space.
Yes, yeah. I shouldn't be here, but you need to protect. I'm a black gay man. Don't touch me. Renee Good had boobs and an ovary and ovaries.
Here's the thing,
untouchable.
Too. I'm a Christian. I'm always worshiping.
Yeah, I'm a Christian.
Really?
Yeah.
And you think this is a good idea?
Yeah. Well, my God tells me that this was a really bad move.
Wouldn't Jesus think, please, hearing these people pull out the Bible verses.
He should have sat down and taken off his shoes and socks and been like,
here, wash my feet. Dawn, you good Christian. Yeah.
I look, so this Bill Maher thing, this is so funny to me. Okay. This is not something that just happened. It's something that I just happened to see. So I was like, it's kind of old, but it's perfectly in line with where we are. So like on the continuum of reality, you have those who are complete lunatics who aren't a part of reality. You put your your protesters, you put your lunatics out there, Black Lives Matter, people who paint their hands with glue and put them to the ground, people who are off the realm. Then you've got your opposite continuum, people who are never fooled by it. People who watched it from 30,000 feet and were like, interesting. And then somewhere along the way, based on the court of public opinion, influencers and Hollywood likes and those who need clicks, et cetera, are somewhere in the continuum, right? Depending on where the wind blows that day with public opinion. So if the public is like, the COVID was a joke. You guys locked us down. You shut us down. Our kids got ruined. Our economy fell to crap. You spent all this money we didn't have, sparked inflation. You suck. And if that's what's going on narrative-wise, then you see these people like Bill Maher. Yeah, about that. But if the opinion is the other way, they're just as fickle to blow with the wind. So I find it very interesting that Bill Maher is going to come out and act as though all of these things that were done to us during COVID, which we talked about, honestly, like the stupidest things ever. Did you guys remember the video of them racing after some cops chasing down in the sand somebody on the beach who wasn't wearing a mask?
Wait.
You remember that? Because I remember that because they were like, what the flip is going on?
Let's take it back to Minnesota where Tim Walz had I don't know if it was National Guard or police shooting paintballs at people for coming out of their house.
Get in your house.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, what? So for Bill Maher now, and he was a freaking COVID Nazi.
Listen, let me tell you why Bill Maher was upset about COVID. Here's the reason. He had to cancel his tour. That's what Bill Maher's about. He had to cancel his tour. And that's not me spitballing or tinfoil. He said it himself. Because of this COVID, I had to cancel. I can't go. I can only go do shows in Florida.
I want you to remember this the next time you hear from Bill Maher, because it exposes his stripes, right? The same way paying attention to Don Lemon in his natural habitat tells you everything. Don't touch me. Don't get into my space. I'm a Christian. You're right, Brock. These are the things that the left puts out, right? Don't invade me. It's all about me. But do know I'm a sanctimonious do-gooder.
And I'm still going to vote for the crap that I'm bitching about.
100%. I am what is wrong with America.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Maher, for a long time during COVID, exemplified everything that was wrong about America. Everything that was wrong about COVID, I should say. Beg your pardon. Everything. He was a lunatic. Remember when they came out?
Affecting his pocketbook.
Remember when they came out in Pennsylvania and that schmuck Wolf, our governor at the time, thought it was going to be a great
snitch squad.
10,000 people. He wanted 10,000 people to join together. If you want to tattle on your neighbors, call us 1-800-WE-SUCK.
Meanwhile, I'm going to shut all businesses down except mine. Because my
family wood making or cabinet making.
Cabinet making is essential.
Yes. So is porn, liquor, gambling. Right. Yeah, no. Whatever. Church, stop it.
Well, the liquor stores.
I don't go to the liquor store, so I don't know about the liquor store. Now, in the land before time, if you want to have a cocktail party, you have to have 5 different stops at stores because you can't get them all at once. Liquor here, beer here. I mean, it's so dumb. I'm going to miss some things.
Or you could call me and I'll just say, I have it. I'll send it over.
Boozer. Program. So I was going through some social media over the weekend and this thing popped up. It's from the Vigilant Fox on X. And I love the Vigilant Fox. He's got a great account. And this is a Bill Maher, kind of like a monologue with a couple people on the set. Now, nobody else says anything. This is basically his thing. And it sounds like this is right before the 2024 election. Okay. So this might have been sometime in the fall of 2024. And the reason why I find it so relevant today is that there are people who are consistent with you, and then there are people whose stripes change depending on public opinion, depending on how the wind blows, depending on what it feels like, depending on what they think will make them more money, make them more notoriety, do whatever. Don Lemon thought it was going to be good optics to storm a church service and live stream the interruption of Sunday worship to then get in the face of a pastor who was basically interrupted from doing his job and getting in his face to say, well, they're looking, I think, for somebody who I think works here, who I think might be affiliated with ICE. You think? Do you have any idea that what you just did is an invasion? This is private property. You are not allowed to do this. I don't know in what deranged world you live in, but you got to see a special slice of desperate and depraved Don Lemon. Bill Maher is not much different. This guy is a lefty who tries to pretend that he's been on the right side all along. Ladies and gentlemen, he was one of the most critical, punishing COVID enthusiasts out there. He wasn't talking about, whoa, let's slow things down. Let's reevaluate. Does anybody else think it's totally nutty that we shut down the entire economy for a year? Anybody else see what's happening as being whack job central? That was not Bill Maher. He was down with it, hook, line, and sinker. And if you weren't triple masked, wearing your gloves, paying attention to 6 feet of social distancing nonsense, you were the enemy. So I find this little soliloquy of his intriguing. And I want you to hear it so you can identify these people when their stripes change for the next big event. Bill Maher in this little blurb says, you know what? A lot of people who are the experts, the scientists, the people we are supposed to trust, really got COVID wrong. And a lot of the people who got demonized for pushing back were the ones who got it right. No kidding, Bill. Let's listen in.
I get it that we didn't know exactly what was happening at the beginning of COVID, and some mistakes were inevitable. But 4 years on, I'm tired of hearing, well, we didn't know. No, we didn't. But some people guessed better than others. And the people who got it wrong don't seem to want to acknowledge that now. Some people said closing schools for so long was pointless and would cause much worse collateral damage to kids, and they were right. Thank you. Don't be afraid.
You know what, Bill, as much as I appreciate some semblance of your own mea culpa here, which it really is, we didn't guess. We have this God-given gift that everybody has, just a lot of people don't tap into it. It's called common sense. Everything about it was wrong from soup to nuts from the very beginning. And after we played along with a couple weeks to slow the spread, and we started seeing the tyrannical edicts of small people acting like giants, we were like, yeah, confirmation, absolutely. He continues, though. He said the media fanned the flames and America did a lot of stupid things to react to a virus. No, see, we didn't. We just got pushback for saying, really?
4 years ago, the Daily Beast ran a story with the headline, Bill Maher pushes Steve Bannon Wuhan lab conspiracy theory, which was typical of the mainstream media at the time. Of course, it wasn't a conspiracy theory, and it wasn't owned by Steve Bannon. And now everyone, including the Biden administration, admits there's at least a 50-50 chance that the virus could have begun in the lab in Wuhan that was doing gain-of-function research on that virus. Duh. But I don't see a lot of retractions being printed. Yeah, when COVID hit, we did a lot of stupid things because America never reacts. It only overreacts.
I agree, but I take particular umbrage with that line. America doesn't react. America overreacts. No, see, America has fanned flames. The media do that. Jimmy Kimmel and all of the goofballs at night do that. And you know who else fans the flames of overreaction? People like Bill Maher. That's what they do. Bill, I sure hope you're looking in the mirror as you're sitting there finger wagging these overreactions because you are culpable, sir. It's what Don Lemon did over the weekend. Overreact somewhere in Don Lemon's mind as he coordinated his live feed. All right, gang, let's get ready to go in and storm, not the castle, let's storm the church. Let's show them that we mean business. Somewhere along the way, you mean to tell me there was not even the smallest voice that said in common sense lingo, what you talking about, Willis? No. Bill Maher continues. And of course, we know who lied to us about COVID. All the people who came forward and told us who lied, the ones who were demonized, who lost their jobs, who thank God the Trump administration, this president, resuscitated and gave new life and new meaning and new jobs to. The big ones, like head of the CDC, head of the FDA, head of the NIH. Yeah. Bill Maher says, remember all of the silly, stupid things we did because we were afraid, because the media freaked us out? No, I don't remember, Bill, because those of us who didn't fall for it, didn't fall for it.
We washed the mail. We played baseball in front of cardboard cutouts. And ate in parking lots? Or with inflatable dolls? They closed the ocean. We banged pots and pans to show our love for nurses and our hatred for people trying to get a baby to sleep. For 2 years, we had to get nostril every time we left the house. We were told to wash our hands every 5 minutes and don't ever touch your face. And if you absolutely must go to the beach, for the sake of all that's holy, wear a mask. Outside, because the last thing you would want to do when a disease is afoot is get fresh air and sunshine and vitamin D. No, much better to stay locked up, stressed out, and day drinking.
Bill, because I remember you advocating those very things, admonishing anybody who thought for themselves, don't you get that close to me? Don't you know what's going on? And it's like, yeah, it's called your mental collapse. We know exactly what's going on. What happened to you people? See, how many times on this program do you guys remember me saying that to you? COVID was a long slog. We broke it down every single day with BS boards going through the CDC website, showing you the real data. Kids aren't bringing home the disease. They're not vectors of it. They're not killing their grandparents. But the media told you they were. They filled up the skate parks with sand, took the basketball nets off the hoops and the swings off of the chains because that made sense. But there was Bill Maher and the majority of the morons in Hollywood. Yeah, because you couldn't possibly think for yourself when you live amid a tribe. And finally, Bill Maher, number 4. And the people who pushed back were the ones who got it right. And now you'll notice he spends 0 time talking about the vaccine because that's a whole new can of worms he's not willing to open.
And if you do get COVID, remember, natural immunity is always the worst kind. So even if you've had the disease, you need a shot. Yes, some very bad ideas were embraced as the conventional wisdom, ideas that haven't aged well. And a lot of the dissenting opinions that were suppressed and ridiculed at the time have proven to be correct. Maybe that's why the powers that be never wanted a COVID commission. Why not? We love commissions. The Warren Commission, the AIDS Commission, the 9/11 Commission. The NFL even had a "is ramming your head into another guy's head bad for heads" commission. Really. So where's the COVID commission? Because it seems to me we haven't learned a thing. Maybe the number one lesson from the pandemic was the need for proper air ventilation. Second was never go on a Zoom with Jeffrey Toobin.
If proper ventilation is your greatest takeaway from that era of not just American history, but world history, then you still don't get it, Bill. Because you have no idea what happened in India. Why did they all survive and we lost 1 million people? You didn't pay attention to what happened in Sweden and Norway and Finland. You didn't pay attention because you were banging the drum of outrage. And you were pointing at fingers people who refused to get vaccinated. You called them selfish. Bill. So I appreciate the high road that you're taking without acknowledging how long you've been traveling down under. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, nothing can make me feel better than giving bad news about Eric Swalwell. And I've got some for him. And it might, in fact, be the end of his California dreaming to be the governor. Oh, next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I didn't realize how much hearing him was going to piss me off until I just heard it again. These people finger wagged. These moron celebrities who were like, rah, 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 you need to do this and you need to do that. No, what you need to do is shut up. Because all of this mumbo jumbo ultimately comes out. And the real villain wasn't a virus. It was our government. It was our government. It was science. It was medicine. It was doctors. It was research. It was education. It was all of it. Dr. Simkovich, the Simkovich Concussion Institute. 412-366-3700.
Bill Maher could use them.
You know, when people go to when you go somewhere because you've got nothing to lose, you're desperate. You've been told a million times there's nothing we can do for you. You've been told this is as good as it's going to get. That concussion you had, the traumatic brain injury, those headaches, the problem you have with sound and focusing, and you still don't sleep well, and everything's upside down, and your personal relationships have taken a toll. Well, I'm sorry, but that's as good as it's going to get. That's not how Dr. Simkovich rolls. He says, you call me, 412-366-3700. You make an appointment. You talk to one of my staff. You go to SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. We'll fix you. We'll fix you quickly. We'll fix you with this intense concussion protocol that nobody else has. He will heal you. I've watched it personally. And I think if my greatest testimonial about the Simkovich Concussion Institute, I would say if I was in charge of healthcare, that I would make it mandatory that we get full body MRIs once a year and you get to see Dr. Simkovich once a year for a tune-up. Because him adjusting your body and moving things around in your soft palate, shazam. Holy cow, 412-366-3700. Do not suffer alone anymore. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. Best for last. Ta-da! I really dislike Eric Swalwell. I really dislike smarmy, unintelligent people who think they're all that. And so they puff themselves up and they talk big, but they have very small IQs. I don't have time for that. Don't have time for that. That is delicious. All right, so let's see how you guys have done. I did not brow nor beat, and we're at 2.83. This is the last second push. I need 170 people to get us to 3,000 rumbles before the end of the show. And I'm borderline desperate.
Borderline?
It's such a bad look. Desperation. It's a bad look. But I'm kind of desperate. It's that thumbs up button underneath my face right now. Right underneath. And hit follow. We're cruising along, trying to get to 100,000 followers on Rumble by Easter. You can do it. Come on, help me out. 285. So I just need 150. I have great faith in you. Here's what I will do.
Oh boy.
What? Who wouldn't like to get kissed?
Schmobby's gonna owe me $30, just so you know.
It's nothing for me to do. I mean, say
collect.
No, you've got a car. 111, 110. Come on, you can do this. This will be a huge triumph as I gleefully report about Eric Swalwell. Who knows? This could be complete bunk, but come on. radio program. Now, I will say it is a risk in any kind of live broadcasting. There's always an opening segment and there's always a close. The close is the last punctuation mark of the day. Well, I chose this one because I don't like Eric Swalwell. I think he's a dirtbag, and I think he might be on the rocks with his California dreamin'. Oh, makes me sad. Not really. Let's read this from the New York Post. Lefty Rep Swalwell can't run for governor in California because he doesn't live there. So says a court filing. Well, this is kind of weird. Lefty California Representative Eric Swalwell is not qualified to run for governor of the Golden State because he doesn't officially live there, according to a bombshell new court claim. Guys, if they bounce this turd out of the way, I'm going to go with Steve Hilton all the way if California does not elect this man. Holy cow. Right-wing pundit and filmmaker Joel Gilbert said in a court complaint filed in Sacramento that Swalwell, considered the likely successor to Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom, actually lives in Washington, D.C., and is prohibited from running for the top state office under California law. Now, public records searches, this is a quote, reveal no current ownership or leasehold interest held by Eric Swalwell in California, nor any history of any ownership of leasehold interest based on available public records. So wait a minute. The guy who claims California is his home base has never owned or leased property, a home at all in the state that he claims to be his own? Swalwell's congressional financial disclosures from 2011 to 2024 apparently list no California real estate ownership at all. At all. Gilbert said in the filing that the California address that Swalwell claimed in a campaign filing December 4th is actually the office of the congressman's lawyer and isn't his residence. You know what? This is where we are. We're at that brazen point where people who are dirty or who they stopped trying. They stopped even trying to cover it up because nobody's looking. They're so used to getting away with it. It's his lawyer's office. That's his home residence. According to Article 5, Section 2 of the California Constitution, quote, the governor shall be an elector who has been a citizen of the United States and a resident of this state for 5 years, immediately preceding the governor's election, the filing said. Gilbert said that because of his findings, he wants Swalwell, a vocal critic of President Trump, to be knocked off the ballot. Either he's guilty of mortgage fraud in Washington, D.C., or he's ineligible to run for governor of California, the conservative activist told the Daily Mail. He can't have it both ways. So which one is it? Mortgage fraud, which is not a misdemeanor, or you've never actually lived in the state that you've pretended to, and Californians never paid attention? Yes. Reps for Swalwell did not immediately respond to requests for comment, of course. The married father of three was born in Iowa, but raised in California. He was elected to the city council in Dublin, California in 2010, and he joined Congress in 2013, where he continues to serve, according to the House of Representatives profile. He threw his hat into the governor's race last year. Newsom was elected governor in 2018. He's not allowed to run again. He's reportedly considering a presidential run, and he believes that the track record that he has laid out in California is the perfect model for which the entire country should be emulating, right? $24 billion lost on the homeless industrial complex. The homeless are still homeless. There's nothing that's been fixed, right? You've got the $130 billion boondoggle, the bullet train that never was under his tenure, of course. This is Newsom. And of course, you've got the illegal immigrant population. They're out of control. This is exactly what America needs, you guys. We need Gavin Newsom to become president and Eric Swalwell to become governor of California. I don't know how it's going to pan out. But I think you've got a lot of people out there who are done playing. This Minnesota thing, this protesting ICE coming to a town near you, these deranged people with their whistles and their belief that because they're women or they're black or they're gay or they're trans, that their label that they have used so frequently to get away with whatever they've gotten away with is somehow going to insulate them when they get in the face of a federal agent. They're asking for this to go into full out civil war. And so here we sit, waiting for the tweet, the truth that will drop the news. And it's the one in which President Trump says, I am invoking the Insurrection Act, and the 11th Airborne is en route. Best of wishes, Minnesota. Signed, Donald J. Trump. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Let's do it again. Love you guys. Peace.